Chapter 718. Germany's Rheinmetall was already a behemoth in Xiaolei's mind, but if Rheinmetall was compared to Marlock-Martinxi's company, the former was probably like a reserve soldier, while the latter was like a professional special forces soldier. In terms of comprehensive strength, Lockheed Martin Corporation was many times stronger than Rheinmetall. One-third of the U.S.'s defense orders were completed by Lockheed Martin Corporation. From this point alone, one could not see how terrifying its strength was. Germany's Rheinmetall was already an insurmountable mountain for Rema Group, and Lockheed Martin Corporation was an insurmountable moat. Charlotte's current ambition was only to surpass Rheinmetall, but the idea of surpassing Lockheed Martin Corporation was out of his reach. Are you surprised? Jacqueline Eva's tone was a little tentative. Charlotte smiled faintly. I'm a little surprised. What I find strange is why you invited people from Lockheed Martin Corporation to watch the test. Didn't you say that the U.S. couldn't know about this? In order to avoid annoying the U.S., the French government didn't even send people to negotiate. Instead, they asked you to talk to me. Indeed, the French government's attitude was somewhat inconsistent. Jacqueline Eva said, Lockheed Martin Corporation doesn't represent the U.S. government. As the world's largest arms dealer, it is a kingdom in itself. The Queen of Lockheed Martin Corporation and the King of the White House, from a certain point of view, actually have a lot in common. In my opinion, the difference is only the size of the power. That's great, but I think you're changing the subject. That's not what I'm asking. Jacqueline Eva shrugged. Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I'm just a nobody. I don't understand the world of politicians, and I don't want to understand it. And I don't think it's a big deal. A senior employee of Lockheed Martin Corporation came to watch the test. This doesn't affect the deal between us. If nothing goes wrong, you will get what you want, and we'll get what we want. That's enough. Well said. With a smile on his face, Charlotte said tentatively. However, is it possible that the French government is purposely pretending to have a secret deal while sharing my technology with the United States behind my back? You really are a suspicious person. Jacqueline Eva rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Do you think the U.S. will agree to exchange the Rafale's avionics and stealth technology for China's artillery, rifle, and machine tool technology? Charlotte just smiled and didn't continue the topic. The United States and China are the two largest economies in the world, and they are in a competitive relationship. Of course, the U.S. did not want China's Air Force to become more powerful. If that was the case, the U.S. would lose its air superiority, and this was something the U.S. would never allow. If that was the case, why would the senior executives of Lockheed Martin Corporation visit the test tomorrow? Charlotte couldn't figure it out, but he didn't care about that. If there was a secret deal between Lockheed Martin Corporation and the French government, it was a matter between the French government and Lockheed Martin Corporation. As Jacqueline Eva had said, the French government got what the French government wanted, and he got what he wanted, and that was enough. Mr. Xia, do you want to talk to me about the gunman? Jacqueline Eva changed the topic. Charlotte shook his head. There's nothing to talk about. I feel scared when I think of those guys. Are you scared? Jacqueline Eva moved her butt, and her plump but was almost touching Charlotte's butt. Her upper body also leaned toward Charlotte bit by bit. Her full and firm breasts also pressed against Charlotte's arm. Before Charlotte could react, two soft, boneless things stuck to his arm. Miss Eva, can't you talk properly? Charlotte had a very obvious reaction, which made his mood a mess. Why did the pants always become smaller in this situation? It seemed to be an unsolvable problem. Can we talk properly like this? Jacqueline Eva continued to press against Charlotte, and almost all of her upper body weight was transferred to Charlotte's body. Charlotte was speechless. If they could talk properly like this, then it would be a miracle. Charlotte's restraint and forbearance did not exchange for peace, but for the blonde woman's insatiable desire. Jacqueline Eva simply climbed onto the sofa and knelt. Her perky buttocks were raised high, and the pitiful denim hot pants tightened. All the dents were revealed, and the curve of her buttocks became more rounded, like the moon on the 15th day of the lunar month. The white round-neck t-shirt fell down, and a piece of snow-white skin was exposed from the collar. The delicate feeling seemed to melt with a breath. Charlotte could not avoid it, and was soon pressed against the sofa by Jacqueline Eva. What do you want? Charlotte asked a stupid and unnecessary question. This question was as stupid and unnecessary as meeting an acquaintance in the bathroom and asking, "Is it convenient for you?" The blonde woman climbed on top of Charlotte, and her cheeks were flushed. "You bastard, I don't have the desire to use Marie today, and I'm not here on behalf of the French government. Do you understand what I mean?" Charlotte shook his head. "You are so shameless." Charlotte was speechless. "Are you gay?" Charlotte was stunned for a moment. A second later, he suddenly grabbed the blonde woman's small waist, and with a force, he immediately pressed her down. No man liked to be called a gay by others, not even the real gays. There was no doubt that Jacqueline Eva had angered him by calling him that. He wanted to show her what kind of man he was. "What do you want?" This time, this stupid and unnecessary question came out of the blonde woman's mouth, but her eyes were full of desire and need. Rip! There was a crack. Jacqueline Eva's round-neck t-shirt became an unbuttoned shirt. This was Charlotte's answer. "If you don't take the village chief as a cadre, the village chief will take away your family's private land." Rude. The blonde woman's pink fist landed on Charlotte's chest, but there was not the slightest bit of strength. It was almost like a punch that tickled him. Rip! The ball cover also cracked. A large area of snow-white skin was revealed. It felt like the darkness before dawn was suddenly blown away by a gust of wind, and the two Mount Everest hidden in the darkness suddenly flashed out. It was breathtaking. "Beast!" Jacqueline Eva scolded, but there was a smile at the corner of her mouth. Her blue eyes were also filled with excitement. The man in front of her had become a hooligan, a beast. Wasn't this what she wanted? She had dug a trap. Wasn't she just waiting for Xia Lei to fill in the trap? Snap! There was a soft sound, and the button on the denim hot pants popped off. Charlotte suppressed his anger. A strange sound came from Jacqueline Eva's throat. She was like a girl surfing in the sea, navigating the turbulent waves with ease. Xia Lei would turn into a hooligan one moment, then a beast the next, and then an enhanced version of a hooligan and beast the next. However, no matter what Xia Lei turned into, she was happy to play the role of a saintess, using her gentleness to influence and melt him. The following night was not going to be peaceful. The dawn dispelled the darkness, and the city of romance slowly woke up from the darkness. It was impossible to count how many men and women had sex in the city last night, but Charlotte and Jacqueline Eva were one of them. In Charlotte's room, Jacqueline Eva came to the bed and called out to Charlotte, "Hey, Xia, you lazy pig. It's time to get up for breakfast." After experiencing what happened last night, she had changed the way she addressed him. Mr. Xia had also become Xia. The way she addressed him was very intimate. Charlotte had been awake for a long time, but he pretended not to hear it. "Well, it's all my fault. You must be tired. You should have a good rest, but you still have to get up. We still have to test the Hellhound cannon. If I'm late, those guys will teach me a lesson again." Charlotte still did not move. Jacqueline Eva reached out and pinched Charlotte's nose. "Are you going to get up or not?" Charlotte opened his mouth, but he still did not open his eyes. Jacqueline Eva thought for a moment. Suddenly, the most abundant part of her upper body was his face. Charlotte's voice came from below. "Do you want to suffocate me?" Jacqueline Eva got up and said with a smile, "If you die like this, you will probably be the happiest man in the world, right?" Charlotte got up from the bed. Jacqueline Eva stared at Charlotte. "It's great. You are the best man I have ever seen. Your body is like a Venus statue. I have never seen such a perfect body." Charlotte put on his clothes and said, "How many perfect bodies have you seen?" Only then did Jacqueline Eva realize that she had spilled the beans. Her face showed a trace of embarrassment. She turned around and walked to the door. "Hurry up. I will wait for you to have breakfast together." Western women were more open. This was a secret known to the whole world. How many men had she slept with? Charlotte actually didn't care about this question at all. He was just fooling around and playing along. He wasn't in a relationship. His purpose of asking her this was actually just to get her to leave. She watched him put on his clothes, which made him feel very uncomfortable. The atmosphere of breakfast was very pleasant. The French breakfast, the French women, and every detail revealed a romantic atmosphere. "I received the notice when you were still sleeping. When they were almost done eating, Jacqueline Eva said, "The location for testing the Hellhound cannon is set to be at the AZ-14 military base. That is a military base of the Foreign Legion." The French Foreign Legion was a world-famous legion, and it was even more famous during World War II. Charlotte put down his knife and fork. "I have to make a call. I have to ask my people to prepare the Hellhound cannon and shells for testing. Ask your people to also prepare the XL 2500 sniper rifle and the Gale assault rifle. They want to see the performance of these two guns with their own eyes," Jacqueline Eva said. Charlotte nodded. "No problem." The French were really cautious, but he had absolute confidence in conquering the French. He estimated that after the test was over, it would be time to sign the contract with the French. Charlotte gave Qing Kaiwe a call, and Qing Kaiwe followed to prepare the weapons and ammunition for him. Half an hour later, Jacqueline Eva and Charlotte left the Star of Paris Hotel and were escorted by a long line of military SUVs to the French Foreign Legion's AZ-14 military base. Chapter 719. There was a regiment of soldiers stationed in the AZ-14 military base of the French Foreign Legion. Soldiers of different skin colors could be seen everywhere in this military base. They came from all over the world. There were Eastern European countries, African countries, Asian countries, and American countries. So many non-French soldiers were working for France. This was undoubtedly a miracle in the military world. There were also many tanks, armored vehicles, artillery, and armed helicopters in this military base. The weapons and equipment were all very advanced. Not long after Charlotte arrived, a French officer gathered the soldiers and then led the assembled team to the shooting range. The whole process only took 3 to 5 minutes. It was very fast. Charlotte followed Jacqueline Eva to the shooting range. It was a very large shooting range. Not only was there a shooting range for all kinds of firearms, but there was also a shooting range for artillery. Other than the soldiers and officers of this military base, Charlotte also saw a group of people in casual clothes. There were men and women. He did not know any of these people. However, he could also guess that there were people from the French Department of Arms and Equipment among these people. Perhaps there were also important figures in the French government. France was about to obtain and produce Rema Group's XL 2500 sniper rifle, Gale assault rifle, and Hellhound artillery. They definitely wanted to see the test results of these weapons for themselves. With a glance, Charlotte's eyes stopped on a woman's face. It was a very special face. She had the sapphire eyes unique to Western women, but also the exquisite face unique to Eastern women. She was a mixture of East and West, 50% Asian and 50% white European. The mixed blood also gave her a devilish figure. She was almost 180 centimeters tall. The mixed blood woman also shifted her gaze. When she saw Charlotte, her eyes paused for a moment. Charlotte's heart slightly moved, and he said to himself, "Is she the belle that Jacqueline Eva mentioned?" The mixed blood woman only glanced at Xia Lei for a moment before looking away. She did not seem to be interested in Xia Lei's handsome appearance, nor was she interested in his mermaid-shaped body. This was a very rare situation. Ever since his body began to evolve, his figure, appearance, and even temperament had become more and more perfect. Most women could not resist his attraction, but this mixed-race woman was clearly not the one who was attracted to him. "Xia, how about we make a bet?" Jacqueline even nudged Charlotte with her elbow. Charlotte looked at her curiously. "What do you want to bet with me?" Jacqueline Eva smirked at the mixed-race woman. "Ask her for her number. I bet she won't give it to you. Let's make it bigger. How about 100 euros? Charlotte shook his head. "I'm not as bored as you. I'm already here. Why didn't anyone come to greet me? When does it start?" "Am I not greeting you?" Jacqueline smiled at Eva. "I've told you before that I'm in charge of this. The higher-ups won't get in touch with you." For some reason, Charlotte suddenly thought of an idiom, burying one's head while stealing a bell. The current attitude of the French and what they were doing were the best examples of burying one's head while stealing a bell. They wanted the weapons technology of Rema Group, but they were afraid of upsetting the Americans. In fact, with the intelligence capabilities of the United States, it was only a matter of time before the American intelligence agency found out about this. Indeed, no one came to greet Charlotte. None of the group of people in casual clothes came to say anything. Chatting with Jacqueline and Eva, he observed the movements of the men. He used X-ray vision on them and obtained their identity information from their IDs. The mixed-race daughter was really by Lily. He used X-ray vision to see her pass, which was inside her collar. She's so young, yet she's already the chief assistant of Ms. Fossen at Lockheed Martin Corporation CS. Her status in the workplace and her ability must be what gives her the confidence to be so arrogant, Charlotte thought to himself. However, he was not interested in this mixed-race woman. Arrogant woman? He had conquered Shintatianin, who was as arrogant as a queen, and Shintatianin represented the pinnacle of this type of woman. Therefore, no matter how arrogant a woman was, she was nothing in his eyes. At this time, a military truck drove into the shooting range, dragging several ammunition boxes. There were also a few people wearing uniforms with the Lockheed Martin Corporation logo sitting in the truck. The uniforms were all khaki, and the people's bodies were also very sturdy. They didn't look like ordinary workers, but more like experienced engineers. The military truck drove directly to the shooting range where the artillery was tested. After the truck stopped, the staff of Lockheed Martin Corporation began to unload the goods, not in a hurry. Then another military truck drove into the shooting range, and there were also several ammunition boxes in the truck. The boxes all had the Chinese characters Thunder Horse Arms on them, and they contained Rema Group's XL 2500 sniper rifle, Gale assault rifle, and Hellhound artillery. There were no Rema Group workers in the second military truck. After the truck stopped, an officer sent a few soldiers to unload the goods. A few soldiers quickly unloaded the weapons and ammunition of Rema Group. When a few soldiers went to report to their officer, Bailier walked over to Charlotte and Jacqueline Eva. "You're Mr. Charlotte C, all right?" Bailier asked in English, her tone indifferent. "Yes, I am." Charlotte maintained a gentleman's demeanor and politeness. "May I ask who you are, miss?" Bailier said, "I'm from Lockheed Martin Corporation. I'm Miss Fossen's assistant." Charlotte extended a hand and smiled. "Hello, Miss Bai. Nice to meet you." Bailier didn't extend her hand. "My surname is not Bai, and I'm not Chinese. My father is Japanese, and my mother is American. So, please don't call me by my name like the Han people do." Charlotte retracted his hand, and the smile on his face disappeared. No one liked to be treated coldly, and he was no exception. "I have a Japanese name, my Hattori. My father is Hattori Masao." After introducing herself, Bailier extended her hand to Charlotte. First, she gave Charlotte the cold shoulder, and then she gave Charlotte a warm face. This woman's personality was really weird. This time, Charlotte didn't extend his hand. The scene suddenly became awkward. Under normal circumstances, when a woman took the initiative to shake hands with a man, the man usually wouldn't refuse, let alone a mixed-race beauty like Bailier. However, this awkward atmosphere wasn't caused by Charlotte, but by Bailier. Charlotte was never the kind of man who would be disoriented when he saw a beautiful woman. When he wanted to shake hands with Bailier, Bailier rejected him, which was equivalent to playing with him. Now, Bailier wanted to shake hands with him. What the hell was he shaking hands with? Bailier was indeed beautiful, a stunner, but he had played with beautiful women too many times, and he didn't care for them at all. Seeing that Charlotte didn't show any signs of extending his hand, Bailier's blue eyes flashed with a hint of displeasure, and she put her hand down. Then, she turned around to look at a middle-aged man standing in the crowd. The man nodded slightly at her. Charlotte's gaze shifted to the man, and suddenly realized that the man's appearance was 50% similar to Bailier's. His heart skipped a beat. Could that man be Bailier's father, Hattori Masao? Why would a Japanese person appear here? This discovery gave rise to a trace of suspicion and vigilance in Charlotte's heart. "Mr. Xia, let's begin." After saying that, Bailier walked towards the firing range where the cannons were tested. She wore a black OL suit, a black OL skirt, black high heels, stockings, and a pair of long legs and perky buttocks. Her back was extremely sexy. Xia Lei's left eye twitched slightly, and the corners of his mouth curled into a mischievous smile. "What an arrogant woman," Jacqueline Eva whispered, Let's go. We can leave after dealing with those guys. Charlotte followed Jacqueline Eva and whispered, Eva, how much do you know about this, Balia? Jacqueline Eva glanced at Charlotte. What do you want to know? Charlotte glanced at the middle-aged Asian man from the corner of his eye. Bailier's father, Hattori Misao, the Asian man on our left. Jacqueline Eva also glanced in the direction of the middle-aged Asian man, and her voice became even softer. How do you know he's Hattori Misao? I naturally have my ways. Charlotte said, I know you must have his information. Tell me, what does he do? Why is he here? This. Jacqueline Eva revealed a troubled expression. Charlotte looked indifferent. It's nothing. I can find out myself. If you find it difficult, then pretend I never asked. It's one thing for you to tell me, but I still owe you a favor. If I find out myself, then we won't even be friends anymore. This was the hidden meaning in Charlotte's words. Don't say I told you. Jacqueline Eva moved closer to Charlotte's ear. This Hattori Misao is a high-ranking officer in the Japanese self-defense force. He's a general in the self-defense force. A lieu general was equivalent to a lieutenant general. A general from the self-defense force actually appeared here to observe the Rema group's weapons test. What was going on? He's really a big shot, but why is he here? Who invited him? Charlotte probed. Jacqueline Eva smiled bitterly. I don't know much, and I can tell you even less. My advice to you is to not care so much, deal with those guys, and then leave here. Thank you. Charlotte didn't ask anything else. After all, Jacqueline Eva was from the French General Directorate of National Security, and she also had her difficulties. Telling him about Hattori Misao's identity was already against the rules. If she revealed other secrets, then it would be a big problem. He did not expect that after sleeping with her, she would be obedient to him and prostrate herself before him. Although he didn't ask, Charlotte had his own guesses. The father is a general in the Japanese self-defense force, and the daughter is a senior employee of the Lockheed Martin Corporation. It's impossible for this father and daughter to appear here without any tricks. What do the Japanese want? Hattori Misao, who was walking in front, turned back to look at Charlotte. Charlotte pretended not to notice and deliberately moved his eyes to Bailier's butt. Chapter 720. A staff member of the Lockheed Martin Corporation opened their weapons box. Charlotte saw a Javelin anti-tank missile, a mortar, a sniper rifle, and a grenade launcher. The grenade launcher was the latest Lockheed Martin Corporation airburst grenade launcher, the XM-25. It had a range of 50 to 2,000 meters and was extremely powerful. The U.S. soldiers called it the Punisher. It had a huge destructive power against targets hidden behind bunkers. It was known as the king of urban warfare. As soon as the XM-25 airburst grenade launcher appeared, Charlotte's attention was attracted to it. His left eye started from the appearance of the XM-25 airburst grenade launcher. Finally, it went to the overall perspective and the details. All the structure of the XM-25 airburst grenade launcher, the materials of its parts, the accuracy of its dimensions, and so on, were all entered into his brain. This process ended very quickly, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. It would not be long before the Rema Group would have a grenade launcher that was more advanced than the XM-25 airburst grenade launcher. If Charlotte was a spy, and he admitted that he was second, then no spy in the world would dare to admit that they were first. Charlotte retracted his gaze and said with a smile, "What's the meaning of this? Is this a test or a competition?" "Mr. Xia," Bailier said, "are you worried about something?" Charlotte said indifferently, "What should I be worried about?" "No, I just want to figure out what's going on." "Do you Chinese like to be like this?" Bailier looked at Charlotte with a hint of provocation and contempt in her eyes. Charlotte frowned. "What do you mean?" "In your words, I'm pretending to be confused." Bailier said, "The French government canceled an order for the Javelin anti-tank missile. The United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia also canceled similar orders. They said they wanted to buy the Rema Group's Hellhound artillery. I came here to see how powerful the Rema Group's Hellhound artillery is. I want to see if it can't even compare to the Javelin anti-tank missile." "So that's what happened." No wonder Lockheed Martin Corporation brought these weapons over. It seemed that they wanted to compete with Rema Group's weapons to determine the winner. On one hand, it was to understand the performance of Rema Group's weapons. On the other hand, it was to suppress them. Rema Group had entered the global arms market as a dark horse. Some of the international military giants had long been impatient and couldn't help but want to do something. Our weapons are excellent, and a price-performance ratio is also very high. It's normal for customers to choose our products. As long as it's a normal person, anyone would be willing to buy good quality goods at a low price, not famous brand goods. Charlotte said. Bai Li-er's lips curled into a cold smile. I've interacted with many China people, and they always give me the impression that they like to exaggerate. I hope Mr. Xia is not such a person. This made Charlotte very uncomfortable. Japan and China had a historical grudge that was difficult to resolve. The pirates of the Ming Dynasty, the Japanese invading China in World War II, these were all pain and humiliation that the kind-hearted Chinese could never forget. Although this was history and had little to do with modern people, people could not always live in hatred. However, the reason why most people did not like the Japanese was not just because of historical reasons, but because of some characteristics of the Japanese people. The Japanese advocated force and worshipped the strong. In the eyes of the Japanese, the weak were not respected. The history of invading China during World War II was not a mistake in the eyes of some Japanese. Instead, it was a glorious history that they were proud of. Many Japanese were polite on the surface, but in their bones, they looked down on the Chinese. China's national strength was getting stronger, and the people's livelihood was getting better. This also touched the sensitive nerves of some Japanese. They often made irresponsible remarks about China or the Chinese, or did some things that made people feel disgusted. Bai Li-er's father was a senior general in the ground self-defense force. She was the descendant of a Japanese soldier. The official challenge had not yet begun, but the Japanese-American woman had already started a war of words. A war of words was a war of words. Charlotte had never had stage fright before. I have met a lot of Japanese. Some of them are very friendly and kind. However, there are also some Japanese who think they are infallible and always think that they are very great. In fact, that is just a manifestation of their narrow-mindedness and inferiority complex. They can't bear to see other people's things better than theirs, and they can't bear to see other people's lives better than theirs. Miss Bai, do you think I am right? I hope that you're not such a Japanese. Oh, by the way, are you Japanese or American? My surname is not Bai. I know. Charlotte's mouth had a hint of ridicule. Are you American or Japanese? Is this question difficult to answer? Mr. Xia, is this how you treat a lady? Bai Li looked at him coldly. Charlotte said lightly, my demeanor and politeness also depends on the person. If you think that I do not respect you, then so be it. I don't care about any of your feelings. Also, I want to remind you that if you want to gain the respect of others, you must first learn to respect others. You. Bai Li-er's head was about to emit smoke. Jacqueline Eva moved closer to Charlotte's ear and whispered, she is a natural person born in the United States. According to American law, she was born as an American. At the same time, because of her father, she is also a Japanese. Charlotte nodded and thought to himself, this woman's identity is really special. The reason she was able to become the chief assistant of the CEO of Lockheed Martin Corporation, Ms. Fossen, is probably because of the identity of her father, Hattori Masao. And for Hattori Masao to appear here, I'm afraid he wants to see the performance of my weapon with his own eyes and then do something stupid, right? A Frenchman in plain clothes gave Jacqueline Eva a look. Jacqueline Eva then said to Charlotte, Mr. Xia, we can begin. Charlotte walked to a few ammunition boxes with Rema Group, printed on them, and then opened all of them. One of the ammunition boxes contained the Hellhound cannon, another contained the XL 2500 sniper rifle, and another contained the Gale assault rifle. As for the remaining two ammunition boxes, one contained several types of artillery shells needed for the test, and the other contained ammunition for the XL 2500 sniper rifle and the Gale assault rifle. This ammunition box was very small. A Lockheed Martin Corporation employee carried an anti-tank Javelin missile and walked over. He went straight to the point and said, "Mr. Xia, the target is the target tank and the ground fortification 2,000 meters away. Do you want to go first, or should I?" Charlotte glanced in the direction of the target and saw an abandoned tank located 2 kilometers away. There was also a ground fortification made of reinforced concrete. The fortification looked like a pillbox from World War II. There were also some human-shaped targets set up around the pillbox. Those targets were there to test the damage of the artillery shells. At a glance, he already had confidence in his heart. "Mr. Xia, why don't you go first?" the Lockheed Martin Corporation employee said. Only then did Charlotte say, "You guys are really professional to use anti-tank missiles to compete with my artillery." Then he said loudly, "A guided anti-tank missile is sold for about $100,000 on the market, but our Hellhound cannon is only $50,000, and it comes with 10 shells. It's no coincidence that we're able to win the favor of the market. It's inevitable. Mr. Xia, cheap doesn't mean good stuff. You should try your Hellhound cannon in front of us. Don't brag first, and then embarrass yourself." Bailil said bluntly. Charlotte was too lazy to bicker with her. He put on his earplugs, took out an armor-piercing shell, and quickly loaded it. Then, he aimed at the abandoned tank and pressed the trigger. Boom! Almost 1.5 seconds later, a hole was blasted open on the scrap tank. Flames burned and thick smoke billowed. A large group of French people and the soldiers of the French Foreign Legion were stunned. If such a cannon was brought to the battlefield, it would be the terminator of tanks and ground fortifications. Mai Hattori was also shocked. She looked at Charlotte and the Hellhound cannon on his shoulder, dumbfounded. With such a simple operation, a range of 2 kilometers, such great power, and such a low cost, who would buy the Javelin anti-tank missile? The Javelin and Dow anti-tank missiles were the main anti-tank missiles of the United States. They were popular all over the world, and many countries were willing to spend a lot of money to buy them, making the United States a lot of money. But now, the appearance of the Hellhound cannon was playing the role of a spoiler, rudely occupying the market that should have belonged to the Javelin and Dow anti-tank missile. Bailil's heart was already shocked, but her face didn't show the slightest bit of surprise. She glanced at her father, Hattori Misao, and the father and daughter had a very secretive look. Boom! But under the shocked gazes of the large group of visitors, Foreign Legion soldiers, and officers, Charlotte fired a second shot. Boom! The ground fortifications 2 kilometers away were blasted into a large pit by a high-explosive shell. The surrounding human-shaped targets were also destroyed by the shell splashes. Some fell, some were smashed, and it was a complete mess. If it was a group of enemy soldiers, no one would be able to get up and fight at this time. The whole place was silent. The impression that the Hellhound cannon gave people was not a cannon, but a shoulder-mounted tank. Not only did such a tank not burn fuel, but could also pass through alleys, climb buildings, and drill through grass, making it impossible for the enemy to defend against it. After firing 2 shots, Charlotte took off the Hellhound cannon and casually threw it into the ammunition box. Then he picked up the XL 2500 sniper rifle, loaded the bullet, raised the gun, and aimed at the farthest target. "That's impossible." In the Foreign Legion, a lieutenant said in surprise, "That target is 2,500 meters long, and no one has ever hit it before." As soon as he finished speaking, the XL 2500 sniper rifle roared. No one could see if Charlotte hit the target, because it was too far away. But just 3 seconds later, a colonel holding a pair of binoculars suddenly exclaimed, "Oh my God! He hit the target, and it's the bullseye!" The originally quiet scene suddenly exploded. The Lockheed Martin Corporation employees carrying the Javelin anti-tank missiles looked at Charlotte in a daze, not knowing what to do. The XL 2500 sniper rifle has long been proven in actual combat. It is the best sniper rifle in the world. Not convinced? If you're not convinced, then hit the target before challenging me. After saying this, Charlotte casually threw the XL 2500 sniper rifle into the ammunition box, and then picked up the Gale assault rifle. Didn't the French want to see the performance of the Rema Group's weapon? Then let them open their eyes. Chapter 721. Bang, 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 bang. The Gale assault rifle roared, and a bullet shot out from the muzzle, aiming at the target 1,000 meters away. In the blink of an eye, the pitiful target was torn into pieces, and it was no longer a target. However, the most shocking thing was not the range and power of the Gale assault rifle, but the fact that there was no obvious vibration on the body of the gun, and the recoil was almost zero. The effective range was 1,000 meters, the accuracy was extremely high, the power was terrifying, and the recoil was almost zero. What assault rifle in the world could compare to the Gale assault rifle with these characteristics? Not to mention the assault rifles that Lockheed Martin Corporation had brought this time. Even if Lockheed Martin Corporation brought all of its assault rifles here, they would not be able to pick out a single one that could beat the Gale assault rifle. This was true for the Gale assault rifle, and even more so for the sniper rifle. Although Rema Group was only a small company that produced light weapons and could not be compared to Lockheed Martin Corporation, in terms of light weapons, Rema Group was actually the world's leader. After emptying a clip, Charlotte casually threw the Gale assault rifle into the ammunition box. He clapped his hands, turned around, and walked away. As he walked, he said, "I've already demonstrated to you. I think you're very clear about the performance of Rema Group's weapons, right? That's it then. Goodbye, everyone." He left just like that. He did not put the people and weapons of Lockheed Martin Corporation in his eyes at all. A large group of visitors, soldiers, and officers of the French Foreign Legion watched speechlessly as Charlotte left. The most embarrassed person was Bai Li. She came here on behalf of Lockheed Martin Corporation to test the performance of Rema Group's weapons, and then let the French see the inferior quality of China's weapons. However, she did not expect Charlotte to shock everyone with just one move and conquer the hearts of everyone here. What made her even more angry was that Lockheed Martin Corporation had not even started testing the weapons, and Charlotte actually clapped his hands and left. This attitude was not just disdain, it was simply a crime. Charlotte did not even turn his head. "Mr. Xia, please wait," Hattori Masao said in English as he walked towards Charlotte. Charlotte stopped in his tracks. "What's the matter?" Hattori Masao said with a smile. "Mr. Xia, I'll take up some of your time. Please step aside for a chat. I'm in a hurry to get back to work. If you have something to say, just say it." Because of Bai Li, Charlotte didn't have a good impression of Hattori Masao. As the saying goes, like father, like daughter. Bai Lili was an arrogant and conceited person. So how could Hattori Masao be any better? What's more, Hattori Masao was a general of the Japanese ground self-defense forces. This identity also disgusted him. "Mr. Xia, I won't take much of your time. What I want to talk to you about is also beneficial to you." Hattori Masao didn't give up. Charlotte hesitated for a moment. "All right then, please follow me." Hattori Masao walked toward an empty spot. Charlotte followed Hattori Masao, guessing what Hattori Masao wanted to talk to him about. In fact, he was willing to give Hattori Masao some time, not because of any benefits, but because he wanted to know why Hattori Masao was here. As for benefits, even if the Japanese offered him great benefits, he wouldn't trade with them. Feeling that he was far enough, Hattori Masao stopped in his tracks. He turned to face Charlotte and smiled in a friendly manner. "Mr. Xia, you are the greatest genius I've ever seen. I respect you very much. Let's be friends." A member of the Japanese ground self-defense force took the initiative to make friends. Almost no one would refuse such a thing. However, Charlotte was not interested and his attitude was indifferent. "Did you call me here just to say this? Forget about making friends. If you have something to say, just say it." Hattori Masao's face suddenly had an awkward expression. He felt very uncomfortable, but he didn't show it. He still maintained a friendly smile on his face. "Mr. Xia, is it because of my daughter? She is indeed insensible. I apologize on her behalf. She didn't do anything wrong. You don't have to apologize to me." Charlotte seemed to have lost his patience. "I've convinced Mr. Hattori. If you really have nothing else to say, then I'll be taking my leave." Hattori Masao was silent for a moment before he said seriously, "I want to buy your weapons. All types of weapons. XL 2500 sniper rifle, Gale assault rifle, and Hellhound artillery. If you can transfer your technology, then we'll give you a considerable price. Charlotte was stunned for a moment before he couldn't help but laugh. Mr. Hattori, you want to buy Rema Group's weapons? Is that true? Hattori Masao looked very serious. Mr. Xia, do I look like I'm joking with you? As long as you agree, we can give you a price higher than the market price. You sell weapons to France, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. Why not sell them to us? We're willing to pay 20% higher than the market price. You're a businessman. You should pursue the maximum profit. I want to make money. Pursuing the maximum profit is also the nature of a businessman. Charlotte changed the topic. But what? I want to buy Japanese electronic technology. Give me a price. Charlotte said. This. Hattori Masao suddenly frowned. The United States was the most technologically advanced country in the world, but it was inferior to Japan in the field of electronics. Japan's electronic technology led the world, and Japan's SLR cameras almost monopolized the world. This was a very obvious example. In fact, China had to import many electronic components from Japan. Whether it was industrial production or national defense, it was very passive. Charlotte smiled. Why? You don't want to sell? As long as you're willing to sell, I promise to give you a good price. Hattori Masao's face suddenly turned ugly. He thought that Charlotte was considering whether or not to accept his proposal. He didn't expect Charlotte to go around in a circle to trick him. Who was he? When had he ever been treated like this? You don't want to? I want to buy your Japanese electronic technology, and you're not happy. You want to buy my things, and I have to agree just for that little bit of money? What kind of logic is this? Is this the logic of the Japanese? Mr. Xia, there was a trace of anger in Hattori Masao's eyes. Even if you don't want to sell, we can buy it from other places. You're a private entrepreneur. Don't you think you're stupid if you don't want to earn money? Charlotte sneered. If you can buy it from other places, then that's your ability. I can't do anything about it. But if you want to buy it from me, forget it. Charlotte, don't need that stinking money. Humph. The conversation ended unhappily. Hattori Masao snorted and turned to leave. Charlotte said, Mr. Hattori, let me give you a piece of advice. There is no empire in this world that will never fall. Hattori Masao looked back at Charlotte. What do you mean? Charlotte's tone was indifferent. I'm not talking about Japan because it has never been an empire. I'm talking about the United States. The ancient Persian Empire, Roman Empire, Tang Dynasty, Yuan Dynasty, and Ming Dynasty have all disappeared. So, don't create new hatred. Otherwise, one day the fire will burn you to death. Hattori Masao said coldly, If you said that in Japan, I would send you to prison. Charlotte said, If we were in China, I wouldn't send you to prison. I would beat you up. You. Hattori Masao's square face suddenly turned green with anger. He, a dignified continental general, was being lectured by a Chinese kid. However, this was France. The former president Nicolas Sarkozy could argue with a fisherman in this land. What could he do to a Chinese kid who bickered with him here? Charlotte turned to leave. Whoosh. The staff of Lockheed Martin Corporation still fired the tagged anti-tank missile. The missile flew out of the launcher and flew straight to a damaged tank target with a fiery tail. The biggest disadvantage of a tubular anti-tank missile like the Javelin was that the tail flame exposed the shooter's position. Moreover, the shooter needed to maintain an infrared lock and couldn't move. Usually, it took nearly 10 seconds for a wire-guided missile to hit its target. In such a long time, if it was discovered and the tank fired, then it would be over. The anti-tank missile flew for a few seconds before hitting the tank target. With a loud explosion, the tank target was destroyed and flames soared into the sky. In terms of power, the Javelin anti-tank missile was stronger than the Hellhound cannon. However, whether it was the launch time, the speed at which it hit the target, or the shooter's survival rate, it was far inferior to the Hellhound cannon. It was also a combat mission to destroy a tank. If a soldier had to choose, he would definitely choose the Hellhound cannon instead of the Javelin anti-tank missile. Sure enough, After the Lockheed Martin Corporation's Javelin anti-tank missile hit the target, the French people didn't applaud or cheer. They didn't even look surprised. Many of them just glanced at it indifferently and then moved their eyes to the hellhound cannon left by Charlotte. Some people even moved their eyes to Charlotte. Judging from the reaction of these French people, they were not interested in the Lockheed Martin Corporation's Javelin anti-tank missile, but they were full of desire for the Rema Group's hellhound cannon. All of this fell into Charlotte's eyes, and he couldn't help but smile. Those French people will draft the contract soon and then sign it with me. Just as this thought came to his mind, Jacqueline Eva quickly walked over to him. Xia, are you really leaving? Jacqueline Eva said. Charlotte said, well, I know what their weapons are. I don't like them at all. There's no point in me staying, so I want to go back. Let's go together. Jacqueline Eva lowered her voice. They have already discussed it. It's a deal. In an hour, they will fax the contract to me, and then I will sign it with you. That's not a problem, but I want to know how I can get what I want. This is not the place to talk about this kind of thing. Let's go back to the hotel and talk. Charlotte nodded. When he left, his eyes moved to Bai Lily, who was also looking at him. Her eyes seemed very cold, and there was even a trace of resentment mixed in. Charlotte was disdainful, and he secretly said in his heart, you're just an assistant. What's there to be arrogant about? You're only worthy of talking to my assistant. I'm already giving you face by talking to you. All right, don't look anymore. You've made them so angry, you're definitely done for. Jacqueline Eva said mischievously. Charlotte suddenly remembered something. Right, I have a condition. What condition do you have? Jacqueline Eva suddenly became nervous. I've already talked to those people. You can't casually add conditions. I've also added this condition. Charlotte said, my technology can't be sold to Japan, and the weapons you produce can't be sold to Japan. If you do this secretly, once I find out, I won't provide the core of the smart machine tool. Jacqueline Eva shrugged, then laughed. I thought it was some kind of condition. Do you think we French are philanthropists? We've paid such a big price. How can we share it with the Japanese? Don't worry, this kind of thing won't happen. I want to write this in the contract. Charlotte said. Jacqueline Eva was speechless. Chapter 722. Shortly after returning to the hotel, Charlotte saw the contract. There was no name of any French government agency in the contract, only Gaulish Technology Company. This was obviously a temporary shell company, and the legal representative of the company was Jacqueline Eva, the person who signed a contract with him. The contract stipulated that Party B, Rema Group, would provide Gaulish Technology Company with the Brontosaurus smart machine tool, as well as the production line for the XL 2500 sniper rifle, Gale assault rifle, and Hellhound cannon. Gaulish Technology Company would also pay Rema Group in installments. Gaulish Technology Company would pay the goods in 4 installments, 25% each time. The so-called goods were the avionics and stealth technology of the Rafale. It was not marked on the contract. You guys are really careful. After reading the contract, Charlotte frowned and said, the contract indicates what Rema Group wants to provide to you, but you use the goods to replace the things you want to provide. And you pay 25% each time. Are you kidding me? Jacqueline Eva said, Xia, please understand our difficulties. We can't leave any evidence that the Americans can use against us. If we specify the avionics and stealth technology of the Rafale in the contract, once the Americans find out, we will be in big trouble. It's just a name. You want the technology, not the contract. No matter how we write the contract, it will not change the content of the transaction. If we execute according to the contract, we will get what we want. Isn't this fine? Even if the Americans found out about this secret transaction in the future, this contract could help the French government out of trouble. Because this contract could prove that the French government was not involved in this transaction, but a Gaulish technology company was trading with Rema Group, using money to buy Rema Group's technology and equipment. Charlotte smiled. You French are really smart. Okay, I have no objection to this contract, but I will decide the process of the transaction. How are you going to deal? Charlotte thought for a moment. I will produce everything I need in China and then ship it to France for assembly. The first is the production line for the XL 2500 sniper rifle. When the equipment and my engineers leave our territory, you have to provide us with 25% of the technology. I will provide the Thunder Dragon AI machine tool in the fourth transaction. You have to provide the last part. Well, Jacqueline said with a troubled look on her face. The higher-ups want to provide you with the technology after the production line is built, but you want to pay once the equipment leaves China's territory. I'm afraid they won't agree. Charlotte said, if you don't agree, then there's nothing to talk about. I've already made a concession. You've replaced the avionics and stealth technology of the Rafale with the payment of money in the contract. In the future, the Western media will inevitably say that our spies stole your technology. At that time, we won't even have a bit of evidence. I can't let you take all the benefits, right? Jacqueline Eva shrugged. Okay, I'll call them right away. I think I can convince them that your weapon has conquered them. Charlotte smiled. We can sign it after you talk to them. Jacqueline took out her cell phone and made the call. She didn't avoid Charlotte. Just as Jacqueline was on the phone, Hattori Misao and Lil appeared in Charlotte's mind again. He couldn't help but think about these two people. Then he got up and went to the bathroom. In the bathroom, he called Amanda. Amanda, help me find the address of these two people. Ooh, Amanda's voice sounded. Charlotte said, the chief assistant of the Lockheed Martin Corporation CEO, Lil. She also has a Japanese name, my Hattori. The other person is Hattori Misao. He's a general of the Japan Self-Defense Forces. Be careful when you check on this person. Don't let him find out. Got it. I'll call you when it's done. Amanda hung up. Footsteps sounded behind him. Charlotte hurriedly put away the satellite phone, unzipped it, and poured water into the toilet. The footsteps stopped at the door. A second later, the door was pushed open by Jacqueline Eva. She poked her head in through the crack of the door and smiled sweetly. Xia, I've already talked to the people above. They said there's no problem. We can sign the contract now. Charlotte looked back at her, looking a little depressed. I'm peeing. Can't you see? Yes, I did. Jacqueline Eva looked serious. You are indeed relieving yourself. Charlotte was speechless. Let's sign it after it's done and have a good celebration. Jacqueline Eva giggled and then retracted her head from the crack of the door. The bathroom door was finally closed. Charlotte heaved a sigh of relief. The water that had stopped flowing was unblocked again and splashed into the toilet. Amidst the sound of water, he said to himself, Brother, I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you again later. How does a romantic French meal taste? After a while, Charlotte walked out of the bathroom. Jacqueline Eva had already prepared everything. The contract and the pen to sign, herself, and a bottle of Chateau Lafayette red wine that had already been opened. Charlotte walked over, picked up the pen, and signed the two contracts. When Jacqueline Eva had also finished signing, he suddenly picked her up by the waist and walked to the bed. I have a boyfriend, Jacqueline Eva suddenly said. Her eyes were filled with a tentative look. Then I'll make him a cuckold, Charlotte said. Jacqueline Eva was speechless. Xiaolei rudely threw the Frenchwoman onto the bed with both hands. When the Frenchwoman's body left his embrace, she suddenly reached out and wrapped her arms around his neck, immediately pulling him down. Of course, eating a French meal once was not enough. Who was her boyfriend? Charlotte didn't care at all. He just wanted to knit a few more green hats for her boyfriend. Early the next morning, Jacqueline Eva left with a contract. After eating the breakfast provided by the hotel, Charlotte also received a call from Amanda. Boss, I found it. Amanda's voice. Tell me, where are the two people, 123 Stanislaus Street? That's a general office of Lockheed Martin Corporation in Paris. It's also a research center of Lockheed Martin Corporation in Europe. Amanda's voice. What are they researching? Biotechnology. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. Biotechnology? What exactly? Probably biological weapons. I'm not sure. The building's firewall is very strong. It took me a few hours to break in. However, I only saw the two people you mentioned, but didn't see what they were researching. There's a laboratory there, but it's isolated. I can't access the laboratory system. Charlotte thought for a moment. Can I get in? Amanda said, Boss, I advise you not to take risks. That place is heavily guarded, and the electronic defense system is very advanced. If you want to sneak in, I estimate that the chances of you being discovered are 100%. Charlotte couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Amanda was very clear about his strength, but even if he went personally, the chances of him being discovered were 100%. He couldn't help but wonder what secrets were hidden there for it to be so heavily guarded. How's Alessio's injury? Charlotte collected his thoughts. He's recovering very quickly, but I'm afraid he'll need another month to recover his combat strength. Take care of him. Maintain the status quo. Charlotte hung up the phone. Half an hour later, Charlotte arrived at the Villepinte Exhibition Center. Yesterday, the people from the renovation company had already assembled the glass wall and hung the related artworks on the wall. On the other side, Qin Kaiwa led the staff of Rema Group to finish the layout of the booth. Rema Group didn't have many exhibits, but with this layout, Rema Group's exhibition hall became the most distinctive hall in the entire Villepinte Exhibition Center. Art and weapons, these two completely unrelated elements, combined together, was very different, very eye-catching, and could leave a very deep impression on people. While Charlotte was chatting with Qin Kaiwa, a few people walked into the Rema Group exhibition hall. The two at the front were Hattori Masao and Bai Lily, whom he had met at the Foreign Legion's military base yesterday. Behind Hattori Masao and Bai Lily were a few attendants. There were upright Asians, and there were also tall and strong Europeans. In fact, it wasn't hard to tell that these upright Asians were all Japanese, and they were soldiers of the self-defense forces. They were all Hattori Masao's guards. The Europeans were Bai Lily's attendants, most likely her bodyguards. Another possibility was that these Europeans were Lockheed Martin Corporation personnel. Qin Kaiwa was about to greet them when Charlotte nudged her arm with his elbow. Go do what you need to do. These people aren't customers, so you don't need to greet them. I'll deal with them. Qin Kaiwa was slightly stunned. Then, she nodded and turned to leave. Hattori Masao had a smile on his face. He was still as friendly as ever. Mr. Xia, we meet again. Charlotte went up to him and said in English, Yes, Mr. Hattori, we meet again. However, the Paris International Army Weapons Exhibition hasn't started yet. You guys are a little early. It's not early, Hattori Masao said. I came here to look for you, Mr. Xia. I don't care when the Army Weapons Exhibition starts. Why are you looking for me? Charlotte said. If it's about yesterday, then don't say anything. I don't want to talk about it. A trace of embarrassment appeared on Hattori Masao's face. He glanced at Bai Lily beside him. This seemed to be a hint. Bai Lily took a small step forward and bowed deeply to Charlotte. Mr. Xia, I was rude yesterday. Please forgive me. It's fine, it's fine. There's no need to apologize to me. I didn't lift you up. As he spoke, Xiaolei reached out to hold Bai Lil's hand. The moment he held Bai Lil up, his fingers quickly and cleverly placed something in her suit pocket. Bai Lily and Charlotte were facing each other, and the people behind her couldn't see Charlotte's movements at all. In fact, even if Bai Lily didn't block their line of sight, they wouldn't be able to see it. Charlotte's hand speed was extremely fast, and his skill in emptiness had long surpassed Qin Xiang's by several times. How could a non-professional person discover his small movements? Mr. Xia, you are a graceful man. A smile appeared on Bai Lily's face. Charlotte also smiled. Let's not beat around the bush. What do you want? Just say it. Chapter 723. Bai Lier said, This is not the place to talk, Mr. Xia. Can we talk somewhere else? Our Lockheed Martin Corporation is also participating in this exhibition. The Villepinte Exhibition Center has given us an office. That place is very quiet, so we can talk there. Charlotte shook his head. I'm very busy right now. I'm sorry, but I won't be going. Bai Lier said, Mr. Xia, I can tell you for sure that you won't be disappointed. Charlotte thought to himself, this woman and her father are both Japanese, and her father is a general in the self-defense forces. Her identity is very special, and if I were to come into contact with her, I might get into trouble. But what does she mean? What is she hinting at? Human curiosity was a very strange thing. Mr. Xia, please follow me. Bai Lier was very polite today. Charlotte hesitated for a moment. All right, I'll go with you. But my time is limited, so I won't be there for long. No problem. It won't take up much of your time. Bai Lier smiled and turned to lead the way. Xiaolei's gaze shifted to Bai Lil's suit pocket. The tapping device that was placed in that pocket had already started working. That bug was the equipment of a Zodiac squad. Once it was in working mode, Amanda would receive its signal. After she dealt with it, he would be able to eavesdrop on the conversation between Bai Lier and others with a special receiver. However, now was not the time to use the receiver. Xiaolei followed Bai Lier to another exhibition area. This exhibition area was filled with Marika's arms giants. Lockheed Martin Corporation, General Dynamics, Boeing, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman. The top 5 arms giants of these 5 companies, even the Barrett Company, could not stand in this exhibition area and had to stand to the side. In this exhibition hall, the number 1 arms giant in the United States occupied almost a third of the space in this exhibition hall. All kinds of light weapons could be seen everywhere in its exhibition area. Assault rifles, sniper rifles, pistols, submachine guns, grenade launchers, machine guns, and so on. There were also some large equipment, such as Apache attack helicopters, large transport helicopters, armored tanks, mine-clearing vehicles, engineering vehicles, anti-aircraft missile systems, and so on. There were so many that it was dazzling and impossible to count them all. This was only Lockheed Martin Corporation's land weapons, not Lockheed Martin Corporation's air and sea weapons. Lockheed Martin Corporation was the manufacturer of the F-22 and F-35 fighter jets. These 2 fighter jets were the most advanced fighter jets in the world. Seeing such a scene, Charlotte was shocked. He was ambitious. He wanted to develop Rema Group into the world's most powerful arms company. However, when he saw the types of weapons and the level of technology in Lockheed Martin Corporation's exhibition area, he realized that it was more difficult to realize this dream than to reach the sky. He still had a long way to go. This was definitely not to boost the morale of others and diminish their own prestige. This was the truth. If the current Rema Group and Lockheed Martin Corporation were compared, Rema Group was like a stray dog, while Lockheed Martin Corporation was a lion. Charlotte couldn't help but think of the scene yesterday. In the French Foreign Legion's military base, he didn't take Lockheed Martin Corporation seriously. Now that he thought about it, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Passing through Lockheed Martin Corporation's exhibition area, Bai Lil brought Charlotte to the office area in the exhibition area. She walked to the door of an office and stopped. "This is it. We're here. Mr. Xia, please come in." She reached out and opened the door. In fact, before she opened the door, Charlotte had already seen through the office. It was just a very ordinary office. Charlotte walked into the office. Hattori Masao also walked into the office and closed the door when he entered. All the attendants were kept outside the door. Charlotte didn't intend to be polite with the 2 Japanese. He casually sat on the sofa and said, "Tell me, what do you want to talk to me about?" Hattori Masao sat opposite Charlotte, but didn't say anything. He looked at Charlotte in silence, as if he was thinking about how to speak. Bai Lil didn't say anything. She went to the wine cabinet and took out a bottle of red wine from a French winery and 3 wine glasses. She placed the 3 wine glasses on the coffee table in the middle of the sofa and poured wine into the 3 glasses. During this process, she didn't even look at Charlotte. "Don't pour the wine," Charlotte said. "It's my working hours now. I don't drink." "Mr. Xia, are you afraid that I'll drug the wine?" Only then did Bai Lier look at Xiaolei. Her tone was polite, but there was a hint of contempt in her eyes. Charlotte said indifferently, "You're right. I don't believe you." Bai Lier suddenly picked up a glass of wine, tilted her head, and downed the glass of wine. Then she drank the 2nd and 3rd glasses of wine. After drinking 3 glasses of wine, she licked the corner of her mouth with her tongue. "Mr. Xia, is there no problem now?" Charlotte still shook his head. "You might need to take the antidote in advance." "Bai Lil, if you don't want to drink, then don't." Hattori Masao smiled bitterly. "Mr. Xia, I know you have a prejudice against us Japanese. I know that it's because of history, but I hope that we can abandon the past and focus on the future." "Well said." Charlotte smiled. "But I don't agree with you. I don't have any prejudice against most Japanese. Farmers, blacksmiths, cartoonists, and even women who sell their bodies to make movies. I don't have any prejudice against these Japanese. The animation industry and the love-action film industry had long become the two calling cards of Japan. In China, whenever Japan was mentioned, the first thing that came to mind was comics and love-action films. Hattori Misao and Bai Lil looked at each other. The father and daughter were not slow-witted people. The father and daughter could actually feel the hidden meaning in Charlotte's words. That was, Charlotte would rather follow Japanese comics and love-action films than talk about business. Mr. Xia, well, I don't expect you to change your impression of me after one or two contacts. I don't want to waste your time, so I'll just say it. Hattori Misao said, yesterday, you said that if Japan wants your technology, we need to exchange it with electronic technology. Last night, I called back home and asked for the opinion of the relevant people. He said that he could consider it. Let me ask, Mr. Xia, what kind of electronic technology do you want? Charlotte was stunned. Yesterday, he said that he wanted Japan's electronic technology in exchange, but that was just an excuse to make the Japanese leave. He didn't want any electronic technology at all, but he didn't expect that in just one night, this Hattori Misao had obtained the approval of the Japanese government and would formally contact him about this deal. Mr. Xia, don't be polite. Just tell me what you want. Bai Lil said, our Japanese electronic technology is very good, especially microelectronics. In this field, we even surpassed the United States. Surpassed the United States? That was in the 1980s. Charlotte said, in that era, your Japanese electronic technology was indeed ahead of the world. But now it is the 21st century, and you have long been left behind by the United States. Besides some home appliances, what else do you have? Which computer now uses your Japanese CPU? Which computer is using your Japanese operating system? Also, the electronic industry is an open industry, and everything we need can be bought in the international market. We also have our own investment and research, and it won't take long for us to catch up. Under this background, why should I exchange with you? Humph. Are you saying that our Japanese electronic technology is so bad? The United States is indeed ahead of us in many areas, but we also have places that surpass the United States. Bai Lil said, the precision and accuracy of our electronic components are the best in the world. A very simple example is our robots. In this world, which country's robot technology can surpass ours? Isn't robot technology built on electronic technology? Charlotte laughed. Hee. With so many electronic components, you don't want to use semiconductors or something to exchange for my technology, do you? Hattori Misao said, of course not. We will make this deal with you with the greatest sincerity. Mr. Xia, you don't have to make a decision immediately. You can think about it and then tell us what you need. We will try our best to meet your conditions. Okay, I'll go back and think about it. Goodbye, you too. Charlotte got up and left. Bai Lil got up and saw Charlotte out of the door. After watching Charlotte leave, she closed the door. Father, this guy is very annoying. Just now, I really wanted to slap him. Bai Lil said hatefully. There's an old saying in China that goes very well. If you can't bear it, you'll ruin the plan. He's annoying, but he has something that can threaten us. We have to get his technology. We also have to think of a way to interfere with the development of the Thunder Horse military factory. Otherwise, if this continues, the advantage we currently have in military technology will disappear. At that time, I'm afraid we'll have to live under the nose of China. Hattori Misao frowned, as if he had a lot on his mind. Father, do you think he will fall for it? As long as we have patience and take it step by step, he won't be able to escape our trap. Hattori Misao sneered. Electronic technology? No technology from the great Japanese empire will fall into China. Father, Madame Fossen called me. Hattori Misao interrupted Bai Lil. I know what she wants. We'll place an order for Lockheed Martin Corporation. Bai Lil smiled. Then let's talk about how to deal with that kid. To realize our plan, we need the help of one person. Ooh, the CIB's Asia director, Gu Qian. Hattori Misao said, I've already contacted her, and she's willing to cooperate with us. Her target is Charlotte, and our target is Charlotte's technology and the Thunder Horse military factory. We have the same goal. If Charlotte dies in her hands, it'll be the most beneficial for us. Bai Lil couldn't help but laugh. Even the CIB wants his life. He's really annoying. He's annoying, but what I want you to do is... Hattori Masao whispered into Bai Lil's ear. Bai Lil's mouth opened slightly, and her beautiful face was full of embarrassment. But after some hesitation, she nodded. For the benefit of the great Japanese empire, I'm willing to make a sacrifice. At the same time, Charlotte, who was walking in the corridor of the exhibition area, cursed. Damn, there's only the two of them in that office. What are they whispering about? I should have waited at the door for a while. When he left the office, he had already activated the receiver and eavesdropped on the conversation in the office. But what made him depressed was that Hattori Masao was whispering to Bai Lil at the crucial moment. But it didn't matter. He had already decided that he would give these two Japanese a surprise. And Gu Qin, she must die. Chapter 724. The sunset at dusk was especially beautiful. Chairman Xia, let's go back to the hotel together. Qin Kaiwa looked at Charlotte expectantly. I have something to do. You can go back first, Charlotte said. Qin Saiyue's lips curled up slightly as she left in disappointment. Charlotte entered the bathroom. He placed a miniature earbud in his ear and activated the receiver. A sound came from the miniature earbud. Shushu. It was actually the sound of a woman's shu. A woman's shu was completely different from a man's shu. The sound was very different and could be easily distinguished. Charlotte was depressed. He heard this sound as soon as he turned on the device. It was really bad luck. The sound of pants being put on quickly came from a miniature earbud. Then came the sound of the door opening and footsteps. She's coming. Hattori Masao's voice. Why did she choose this place to meet? Bai Lier's voice. Charlotte is also at the Villipan Exhibition Center. If he finds out, he'll be suspicious. This will be very detrimental to our plan. She's a very smart woman. She knows what she's doing. Hattori Masao's voice. There's an old saying in China that the most dangerous place is the safest place. Charlotte would never dream that Gu Qin would meet us here. Father, you know China's culture very well. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. This comes from Sun Tzu's Art of War. I like it very much. We will never be friends with China. Our ancestors fought with China hundreds of years ago. During World War II, we almost succeeded in the war against China. Unfortunately, we failed on the verge of success. But I believe that one day we will succeed. Hattori Masao's voice carried a trace of regret. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of knocking on the door. Sir Admiral, someone wants to see you. A man's voice spoke in Japanese. Hattori Masao said, Is it a woman? Yes, Sir Admiral. Let her in. Guard the passage and watch the door. Don't let anyone in. Yes, Admiral. The one who spoke was obviously one of Hattori Masao's guards. The sound of high heels rubbing against the ground was heard, followed by a familiar woman's voice in English. Hello, Sir General. Miss Beryl, how are you? This voice belonged to Gu Qin. Even if her voice turned to ash, Charlotte would still recognize it. Miss Gu, there's no need to be so polite. Hattori Masao was very polite. Please take a seat. Let's talk. Miss Gu, what would you like to drink? Bai Lier's voice was heard. Just give me a glass of water. Thank you. It was Gu Qin's voice. Miss Gu, I'm sure you already know what we want to talk about, right? Hattori Masao's voice rang out. Of course I know. I'm also here for this. Gu Qin's voice sounded. I've fought with Charlotte many times, and I've suffered quite a bit. I know him, and I know what kind of tricks he has up his sleeve. He's very difficult to deal with. We can only catch him if we work together. The sound of a cup being placed on a coffee table was followed by Lier's voice. Miss Gu, is he really that powerful? Even the CIB can't do anything to him? What? Gu Qin's voice sounded. You don't believe what I said? No, I definitely didn't mean that. Bai Lier's voice sounded. Miss Gu, I just find it strange. The CIB is the most powerful intelligence agency in the world. Even a few terrorist organizations in the Middle East have headaches about the CIB and are trying to avoid it. It's just a Charlotte. How can the CIB be helpless? Have you fought with him before? No. After you fight with him, you'll understand how powerful he is. Gu Qin's voice sounded. But I want to remind you that from the moment we started taking action against him until now, we've already lost dozens of experts to him. Not only the CIB, but also the Marine Corps' special forces and professional killers. I'm afraid the number of people who have died in his hands has already exceeded 3 digits. Ah, Lear exclaimed. You're talking about the devil, not people. Sometimes, I'd rather live with the devil than face him. Gu Qian's voice sounded. Lear was silent, obviously frightened by Gu Qian's words. Miss Gu, I have a plan against Charlotte, but before I say it, I want to hear your thoughts first. Hattori Masao's voice sounded. My thoughts? It's very simple. No matter how powerful he is, he's just a man, not a god. It's not difficult to capture him or kill him. Our problem now is the French, and the French are protecting him. He has special forces from the French Gendarmerie and agents from the French General Directorate of Security protecting him. It's too difficult for us to deal with him in France. Otherwise, I would have done it long ago. What if I have a way to lure him out? Hattori Masao's voice sounded. You have a way? That's easy. If you have a way to lure him out, I have a 90% chance of capturing him and a 100% chance of killing him. No matter what result you want, it's fine. Gu Qian's voice sounded. That's great. Hattori Masao's voice sounded. I know his weakness, and I have a way to lure him out. General, are you talking about women? Gu Qian's voice sounded. It's not just women. Hattori Masao's voice sounded. He's a greedy guy, and his greed is built on his ambition. He wants to revitalize China's military industry with his own strength. He needs advanced technology, and I happen to have what he wants. I'll use the technology he wants as bait, and he'll turn into a hungry fish that can't wait to pounce on me. If that's the case, our plan will be half successful. Gu Qian smiled. Father, that kid doesn't seem to be interested in our electronic technology. I'm worried that he won't take the bait. Lear's voice sounded. If you want a fish to take the bait, you have to use enough bait. He's not interested in our electronic technology, so I'll use what he's interested in. What technology do you want to use? Lear's voice sounded. I'm not sure yet, but I'll think of something. Hattori Masao's voice sounded. General, if that's the case, the CIA will be in charge of the operation. I wish us a successful cooperation. Gu Qian's voice sounded. Miss Gu, it's still too early to celebrate. Hattori Masao's voice sounded. We should talk about what happens after we capture Charlotte. I know you want him, but I want his technology, the Thunder Dragon Smart Machine Tool, his XL 2500 Sniper Rifle, Gale Assault Rifle, and the Hellhound Cannon. Also, it's best to make Rema Group stop designing and producing weapons. Gu Qian laughed. General, there's no problem with what you want. I can guarantee you that you'll get all his technology. How can you be so sure? The CIA has the technology to dig out the contents of his brain. That's not realistic. From what I know, the latest Thunder Dragon Smart Machine tool weighs 1,000 tons. It's the most advanced and complicated smart machine tool in the world. How can a person's brain remember all the designs and structures? As long as we capture him, we have a way to obtain its technology. Even if the CIA's technology can't achieve it, we have a way to achieve it. What way? His sister and his father. As long as we capture Charlotte, his sister and his father will lose their protection. As long as we capture one of these two, we won't have to worry about Charlotte not cooperating. Gu Qian's voice sounded. Hattori Masao also laughed. It's sad that Charlotte has an opponent like you. After a pause, he said, one last question. Do you have a way to make Rema Group stop designing and producing weapons? That's even simpler. I know them very well. Shinjo Industry Group and Hanwoo Weapons Company have been waiting for Rema Group to fall. If Charlotte falls into our hands, he'll lose control of Rema Group. With Shinjo Industry Group and Hanwoo Weapons Company's means, it won't take long for Rema Group to become their subsidiary. Without us doing anything, someone will make Rema Group switch to producing socks and shirts. Hattori Masao laughed. Looks like we really have to celebrate in advance. What followed was some insignificant chatter. A few minutes later, Gu Qian left. Before she left, she set up a contact number with Hattori Masao and Bai Lil and arranged a time and place for their next meeting. Then, Gu Qian left. The conversation between Hattori Masao and Bai Lil could be heard through the mini earpiece, but it was just some idle chatter that didn't have much value. There was no need to continue the eavesdropping operation at this point, so Charlotte turned around and left the bathroom. He quickly walked to the door of the exhibition hall, but he didn't go out. Instead, he stood behind the wall and activated his left eye's X-ray vision to look in the direction of the exhibition hall where Lockheed Martin Corporation was located. He soon saw Gu Qin quickly leaving under the protection of a large group of agents. This wasn't the time to kill her. "I'll let you live for a few more days," Charlotte said to himself as a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Gu Qin walked in the direction of the landing pad. Then, a helicopter took off and quickly disappeared from Charlotte's sight. A few minutes after Gu Qin left, Hattori Masao and Bai Lil also walked out of the exhibition hall, where Lockheed Martin Corporation was located. The father and daughter walked in the direction of the parking lot, followed by a large group of guards and bodyguards. Charlotte quickly walked out of the exhibition hall and caught up with Hattori Masao and Bai Lil when they entered the parking lot. "Hey, Mr. Hattori, Ms. Bai Lil, please wait." Charlotte quickly walked toward the two of them. Hattori Masao's guards wanted to stop Charlotte, but they were stopped by Hattori Masao. "Mr. Xia, why are you still here?" Hattori Masao asked tentatively. "The weapons exhibition is about to start. There are a lot of things to do. I just finished my work, and I'm exhausted." Charlotte walked to Bai Lil's side. "It's really hard." Bai Lil's tone was indifferent. Perhaps it was because of Gu Qin's words, but when she faced Charlotte again, there was a trace of fear in her eyes. "Mr. Hattori, I've already thought about it. I'm willing to make this deal with you, but you have to take out something decent." Charlotte said, "Yeah, that's great." Hattori Masao was happy. "Mr. Xia, don't worry. I won't let you suffer. Tell me, what do you want?" At this moment, Charlotte suddenly moved closer to Bai Lil's ear. His lips almost touched Bai Lil's ear. "I want artificial intelligence." "You really?" Bai Lil couldn't help but want to say something sarcastic, but she swallowed it back. At this moment, Charlotte's right hand had already retracted from her pocket. "All right, I've already told you what I want. If you're ready, come find me. I won't take up any more of your time. Goodbye." Charlotte left as soon as he said he would. Bai Lil stared at Charlotte's back and said in a low voice, "He really is a greedy guy. Our Japanese artificial intelligence technology has integrated almost all electronic technology, including the world's leading neural network technology. He really dares to open his mouth." Hattori Masao was silent for a while before saying, "He's interested in you." Bai Lil inexplicably shuddered. In the distance, Charlotte opened the palm of his right hand. There was a miniature bug lying in his palm. Seeing this bug, he couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 725. The International Exhibition of Armaments of the Army in Paris was finally opened. Businessmen, tourists, and media people from all over the world poured into the Villepin Exhibition Center. All the exhibition halls were crowded and bustling. The employees of Rema Group were looking forward to visiting and placing orders. But it was not businessmen who came, but a group of European media reporters. "Kaiwa, you go and deal with them. I'll hide for a while." Charlotte slipped away. Qin Kaiwa looked at Charlotte's back speechlessly. After a long while, she said, using me as a shield again, "You want the cow to work, but you don't give the cow grass to eat." He didn't know what cow she was talking about and what grass she was talking about. A large group of European media reporters poured into the exhibition hall of Rema Military Factory. Qin Kaiwa greeted them. "Our chairman Xia is not here. I'm his secretary, Qin Kaiwa. What can I do for you?" "Where did Mr. Xia go?" "Sorry, I don't know." Qin Kaiwa said, "You can ask me if you have any questions." "Miss Qin, I heard that your company's weapons are modeled after German designs. Can you talk about it?" Qin Kaiwa was stunned. "Miss Qin, do Rema Group only have these 3 kinds of light weapons? Some media said that your Rema Group is a dark horse in the military industry. Is this your hype?" Qin Sayue's face turned blue. "Miss Qin, I heard that your weapons have fallen into the hands of terrorists and caused great harm to civilians on the battlefield in the Middle East. Can you talk about what's going on?" Qin Kaiwa, "Miss Qin, why doesn't our chairman of Rema Group, Charlotte, accept the interview? What is he afraid of? Is there any inside story of Rema Group that can't be seen? Can you talk about it? A large group of reporters, a lot of embarrassing questions. Even with Qin Saiyue's eloquence, she was speechless. However, she also understood why Charlotte asked her to deal with these reporters. The European media had always liked to smear China and China's companies. How could they let go of Rema Group? It would not be easy to change Europe's view of China and Chinese companies. If that was the case, one could imagine how difficult it would be to break into the European market. This was the reason why Charlotte avoided these reporters. He knew that this would be the result, so there was no need for him to accept the interview from these European reporters. Miss Qing, why aren't you saying anything? Please answer our questions. I don't know. Qin Kaiwei was already annoyed. Just as a group of reporters besieged Qin Kaiwei, a group of people in Arab robes walked into the exhibition hall of Rema Group. The leader of the group was none other than the Caliph. Qin Kaiwei was worried that there was no excuse to get rid of this group of annoying European reporters. She simply left the group of European reporters and greeted him with a smile. She said in English, "Sir, what can I do for you?" Prince Khalifa looked around. "Where's Charlotte? Our chairman Xia." Qin Kaiwei subconsciously glanced at the lounge behind the booth. Charlotte was hiding in that lounge, but she didn't know if she should tell the Arab in front of her. The door of the lounge suddenly opened, and Charlotte came out from inside. "My friend." Khalifa smiled and walked over. "Your Royal Highness, long time no see. How have you been recently?" Charlotte also greeted him with a friendly smile on his face. "Your Royal Highness?" Qin Kaiwei was stunned. She didn't expect that Charlotte had friends of this level. But before Charlotte and Prince Khalifa exchanged a few words, the group of European media reporters rushed up. "Mr. Xia, why are you hiding? Mr. Xia, are you afraid to accept our interview? What's the reason?" "Mr. Xia, I heard that your products are copied from German designs. Is this true?" "Mr. Xia, have you privately sold weapons to terrorist organizations? Have you ever thought about those suffering civilians and children?" "Mr. Xia, I only saw 3 types of light weapons you exhibited. With such a scale, you are not qualified to participate in the Paris International Army Weapons Exhibition. I want to ask, is it because you gave money that you can participate in this weapons exhibition?" As soon as Charlotte appeared, the European media reporters' questions became more aggressive. "My friend, what's the matter with these guys?" Prince Khalifa frowned. "Do you need my people to help you drive them out?" "Thank you, but no need. Let's talk elsewhere," Charlotte said. The European media reporters asked him a lot of questions, but he didn't want to answer any of them. He just treated those questions as farts. "Okay, let's talk outside," Prince Khalifa said as he walked. "You actually know why I'm here this time. I want your Hellhound artillery." "No problem. When did I refuse your order?" Then don't tell me that I also need to wait 2 years to get the Hellhound artillery." "How could that be?" "I will prioritize completing His Highness' order." The two chatted as they walked. The group of European reporters followed behind them and continued to ask embarrassing questions. Even if Charlotte ignored them, they would not give up. "Those guys behind are really annoying. Your Highness, go find my secretary and place an order. I'll deal with them." Not long after, Charlotte changed his mind. "Okay, I'll go talk to your secretary." Prince Khalifa turned around and went to the Rema Group's exhibition hall. Charlotte faced the group of European reporters. "Okay, I'll accept your interview. Please ask questions one by one. I only have one mouth. I can't satisfy all of you at the same time." "Mr. Xia, may I ask if your weapon is a copy of the German design?" a reporter asked. "Please raise your hand. I'll answer your question only if you raise your hand," Charlotte said. The European reporter was stunned for a moment, but before he could raise his hand, another reporter next to him raised his hand and asked a question. "Mr. Xia, did Rema Group bribe the French officials to come here to participate in the exhibition?" Charlotte smiled. "You really dare to ask such a question? Aren't you afraid of being sued? France is a country with freedom of speech. The people have the right to know the inside story." The reporter who asked the question looked awe-inspiring. I can tell you with certainty that Rema Group was able to come here to participate in the exhibition without any bribery. How is that possible? With the scale given to you, people are not qualified to participate in this weapons exhibition. Then I can't talk to you. If you have evidence, then go and report it. Mr. Xia, the reporter who did not raise his hand, just now raised his hand reluctantly. I still have the same question. Did Rema Group copy the German design? This question of yours makes me very embarrassed, but I'm still willing to answer you. Xia Lei pointed in the direction of Rheinmetall's exhibition hall. Then you're the exhibition hall of Germany's Rheinmetall. They represent the highest level of Germany's military industry. You said that I plagiarized a German design, but I have not received any accusations from Germany, nor have I received any protests from Germany. You said that I copied the German design, but the Germans are not worried. Why are you worried? The reporter who asked the question was speechless. Mr. Xia, another reporter raised his hand. Rema Group's weapons have played a disgraceful role in the Middle East battlefield. A large number of civilians and children have been hurt. Can you tell me? Why did the group sell weapons to those terrorist organizations? Your question is already a very serious accusation. Charlotte said lightly. Our Rema Group's weapons are sold to legal governments and companies. We have never sold them to terrorist organizations. If you have evidence, you could go to the Hague court to sue me. I am willing to bear the responsibility I should bear. But your weapons have indeed fallen into the hands of terrorist organizations. Do you have any explanation for this? The reporter who asked the question did not let it go. Charlotte said, as far as I know, the biggest terrorist organizations active in Iraq and Syria mostly use American-made weapons. American tanks, American combat vehicles, American rifles, American ammunition, and even American anti-tank missiles. So can I say that the United States is secretly supporting them? The reporter who asked the question was speechless. Charlotte shrugged. Well, I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. I know you won't write good things about me, and I won't let you smear me. You can write whatever you want. You're best at this. Charlotte left, but a large group of European reporters were still not satisfied and were unwilling to leave. You can write whatever you want, I don't care. He had already said so. So what's the point of the interview? Charlotte returned to the Rema Group's exhibition hall. Qin Kaiwei gave Charlotte a thumbs up, and the smile on her face was especially cute and sweet. Then, she moved closer to Charlotte's ear and whispered, Chairman Xia, this prince friend of yours wants 20,000 hellhound cannons. This order is too big, and I don't dare to sign it. It's better if you talk to him. Charlotte was also shocked by Prince Caliph's appetite. 20,000 hellhound cannons was not a small order. With the price of $50,000 per hellhound cannon, the total price of Prince Caliph's order had already reached $1 billion. This order was also the largest single export order that Rema Group had ever accepted since its establishment. My friend, you won't let me down, right? Prince Caliph said with a smile. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Okay, I will sign it with you, but I need money. You have to pay me half of the deposit first. No problem. I can transfer the money to you now. Prince Caliph snapped his fingers, and an attendant walked over with his mobile computer. For the Prince of UAE, problems that could be solved with money were definitely not a problem. As soon as Prince Caliph left, a few businessmen from South America came to the exhibition hall of Rema Group. Argentina wanted 10,000 hellhound cannons, 50,000 Gale assault rifles, and 5,000 XL 2500 sniper rifles. Venezuela wanted 5,000 hellhound cannons, 20,000 Gale assault rifles, and 1,000 XL 2500 sniper rifles. After sending off the businessmen from South America, the businessmen from the Middle East came again. Charlotte felt unwell. So what if Rema Group only had 3 types of light weapons? No matter which one it was, they were the most advanced and powerful infantry weapons in the world. The large-scale weapons in Europe and the United States were indeed very advanced, but not everyone could afford their prices. Even if they could afford it, the Europeans and the United States might not necessarily sell them. However, Rema Group's light weapons were different. Rema Group's light weapons were not only cheap, but they were also powerful and invincible. Third world countries could not afford the large-scale weapons in Europe and the United States. So why not buy more infantry weapons from Rema Group? This was actually an opportunity for Rema Group to develop. Chapter 726. Rema Group's Children's Playground Exhibition Hall was a joke in the eyes of many people in the industry. But it was this joke that was sold in full swing on the first day of the exhibition. Charlotte's hands were tired from signing orders. If it was in the past, he definitely wouldn't have dared to sign so many orders because Rema Group's production capacity was limited and he couldn't complete so many orders at all. He was also burdened with a huge loan, and at this stage, he didn't have the ability to expand production. But it was different now. That loan had been removed from him, and he was relaxed. No matter how big the order was, he dared to take it. As for those in the industry who thought Rema Group was a joke, they felt like they had been slapped in the face when they saw their own orders. At the end of the first day of the exhibition, Charlotte held a celebration dinner at the Star of Paris Hotel to reward the employees of Rema Group. Chairman Xia, let me toast you. Qin Kaiwe was very active at the dinner party. She kept giving Charlotte a bottle of wine. Kaiwe, do you want to get me drunk? Charlotte said with a smile. Chairman Xia, how could I dare to get you drunk? You have such a good alcohol tolerance. It's okay to drink a few more glasses. Qin Kaiwe stuffed the wine glass into Charlotte's hand, then held Charlotte's arm and poured the wine into his mouth. Chairman Xia, drink it. It's rare to be so happy today. Okay. Drink. Charlotte couldn't refuse, so he drank the wine in one gulp. Qin Kaiwe then picked up the wine bottle and poured wine into the wine glass. She glanced at Charlotte from the corner of her eye. Her pink cheeks were flushed like rouge, and her black eyes were full of lust. Wine could mess up a man's sex, and it could also mess up a woman's hormones. The men and women of Rema Group saw this and were happy in their hearts. Who didn't understand Qin Sayue's little thoughts? The men and women of Rema Group were all secretly laughing in their hearts. They were all thinking, Chairman Xia, you're in luck tonight. One glass after another, Charlotte didn't know how much wine he had drunk. But he was very sober, not the least bit drunk. On the other hand, Qin Kaiwe, who was pouring wine for him, was lying on the table drunk. Chairman Xia, isn't your alcohol tolerance too terrifying? A female employee looked at Charlotte with a peculiar expression. She couldn't understand how Xia Lei could hold his liquor so well and not get drunk. What puzzled her even more was why Charlotte got Qin Kaiwe drunk. Could it be that Chairman Xia wanted to get drunk? This was the question that a few male staff members were thinking about. The atmosphere of the banquet was a little more ambiguous and awkward. Just as Charlotte was about to announce the end of the banquet, a woman in a black evening dress arrived gracefully. Beautiful eyes that were as blue as gemstones, an exquisite face, impeccable and exquisite facial features, coupled with a sexy figure, and those beautiful legs that occupied 2/3 of her body. Her appearance was like a beautiful scenery, a quiet northern European village, a winding clear river, a grassland full of flowers, and a mixed-race beauty bathing naked in the river. This mixed-race beauty was Hattori Misao's daughter, Bai Li'er. She also had a Japanese name, Mai Hattori, but she only used that name in Japan. Charlotte wasn't surprised at Bai Li'er's arrival at all. You guys can go back. Send Secretary Qin back to her room. Charlotte said. The staff of Rema Group left the hotel restaurant, and 2 female staff members helped Kaiwa leave. Miss Hattori, why didn't you come earlier? Charlotte stood up and said with a smile, if you had come earlier, we could have had dinner together. Bailey sat on a chair beside Charlotte, and a beautiful smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Mr. Xia, congratulations. I heard that you signed a lot of orders today. You made a lot of money. Orders aren't checks. You can only earn money if you complete them. I was just worrying about how to complete so many orders. Charlotte sighed hypocritically. Sigh, now I understand that having too many orders isn't a good thing. Mr. Xia, if I were in the same line of work as you, I wouldn't be able to resist giving you a punch. Bailier raised her fist and then shook it in front of Charlotte, as if she really wanted to hit Charlotte. Her fist was white and delicate, as if it was carved out of ice and snow. It actually had a bit of a crystal-clear feeling, which was too wonderful for words. The skin on her fist was already so delicate, so one could imagine the skin and flesh on her body. How many men in this world could resist the temptation of such a fine product? He didn't know what was going on, but Charlotte, who was staring at his fist in a daze, suddenly reached out and grabbed Bailey's fist. "Mr. Xiaoyu." Bailey is suddenly tensed up. She subconsciously wanted to pull her hand back, but Charlotte's grip was so tight that she couldn't move at all. Grabbing a woman's hand without her consent was simply sexual harassment, a hooligan. However, this was only the beginning. Just as Bailey was feeling embarrassed and angry, Charlotte actually kissed her fist. Xia Hooligan seemed to have stuck out his tongue, leaving a wet mark on Bailey's fist. Bailey's face immediately flushed red, and a trace of anger appeared in her sapphire eyes. But what made her ashamed and resentful was that at the moment when Xia Lei kissed her fist, she felt as if she had been electrocuted. That kind of ticklish feeling actually caused some kind of chemical reaction in her body. I'm sorry. Charlotte let go of Bailey's hand and said apologetically, "I drank too much. It's all because of alcohol. Miss Hattori, please forgive me. I didn't do it on purpose. Blame it on alcohol. Alcohol? Is it my fault?" "No, it's okay." Bailey quickly calmed down, and a charming smile appeared on her face. "Mr. Xia, why don't we go back to your room and talk? You're a little drunk. It'll be very comfortable to take a bath. I'll wait for you." "How can I do that?" "It's okay, really." "All right, then, let's go to the room and talk." Xia Lei stood up from the chair, but before he could steady himself, his legs buckled, and he staggered and fell onto Bailey. "Mr. Xia, be careful." Bailey hurriedly reached out to support Charlotte, but she neglected one thing, and that was Charlotte's weight and determination to fall. A second later, Charlotte's upper body was completely pressed into Bailey's embrace. His face was close to Bailey's face. One of his hands was pressing down on hers, and his other hand was holding on to a spherical object. It was soft and boneless, wonderfully elastic, and the fragrance of milk assailed his nostrils. For a man, he would never get tired of holding on to such a treasure for a lifetime. "Mr. Xia." Bailey was in a bad mood. She tried her best to push Charlotte away from her, but she didn't have enough strength. I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. I really shouldn't have drunk so much. I won't drink anymore." Charlotte muttered, that hand moving back and forth, not obediently at all. No words could express Bailey's current feelings. What she wanted to do the most was not to blame Charlotte, but to pick up a knife and cut off his perverted hand. After dawdling enough and wiping his hands full of oil, Charlotte finally got up from Bailey's body. Just as he stood up, Charlotte's feet swayed again. No, Bailey was even more nervous than Charlotte. She stood up, braced herself, and wrapped her arms around Charlotte's waist, leaning on him with her shoulder to help him maintain his balance. Charlotte left with Bailey. He walked very slowly, but he held Bailey tightly. "Hattori Masao, you want to catch me this fish. You even used your daughter as bait. All right, since you're so sincere, if I don't eat your bait, then I'll be letting you down." Charlotte's perverted hand gently rubbed Bailey's waist as he quietly thought to himself. Behind the two of them, a hotel waiter looked at Charlotte's perverted hand that was quietly moving towards Bailey's buttocks. He muttered, "Shameless person. You're clearly not drunk, yet you pretend to be drunk. Despicable." At the door of the room, two Special Forces soldiers from the French gendarmerie stopped Bailey. One of the Special Forces soldiers said, "Mr. Xia, who is she?" "My friend." Charlotte said, "She's fine. I'll take responsibility if anything happens. Then I'll check." The Special Forces soldier scanned Bailey's body with a scanner. When the scanner scanned Bailey's LV bag, it gave off a beep-beep warning. The Special Forces soldier asked warily, "Miss, what's in the bag?" I don't know." Bailey was a little nervous. "Open the bag." The Special Forces soldier's tone became stern. Bailey opened her LV bag. It was filled with lipstick, eyebrow pencil, tissue, and so on. They were all women's things. There were no weapons. The Special Forces soldier took a look. Sorry, you can go in now. The other Special Forces soldier said, Mr. Xia, do you need to tell Miss Jacqueline Eva? Charlotte said, No need, I'll tell her. Bailier followed Charlotte into the room. The two Special Forces soldiers at the door looked at each other and laughed. What else could a man bring a woman to a hotel room be? Mr. Xia, the French government is really considerate of you. After entering the room, Bailier, he said, When I came out of the elevator just now, I suspected that you were the head of state of some country. Charlotte looked at Bailier and laughed, his reaction a little slow. Go take a shower. It'll be better. Bailier said, Then I'll go take a shower. Charlotte turned around and went to the bathroom. Wait, aren't you going to take off your clothes? Without waiting for Charlotte to speak, Bailier moved closer and helped Charlotte take off his clothes. How can I do that? Charlotte looked very embarrassed, but he didn't object to the mixed-race woman helping him take off his clothes. Bailier helped Charlotte take off his suit and shirt. Charlotte's muscular upper body made her flustered. She hesitated for a moment, but still reached out to untie Charlotte's belt, and then helped him open the zipper. Charlotte's pants fell to his ankles, leaving only a pair of red briefs on his body. It was as if there was something evil hidden in the red cloth. It was very powerful and very scary. Bailier couldn't help but sneak a glance, and then her gaze seemed to be stuck to a fly board, unable to escape. Fortunately, Charlotte didn't wait for her to take off the red cloth for him. He took off his shoes and went into the bathroom. The sound of water came from the bathroom. Bailier waited for a moment, then quietly picked up Charlotte's suit and began to rummage through his pockets. In the bathroom, Charlotte sighed softly. You're too impatient. You went straight to the point without any foreplay. I really want to remind you that what you're looking for is in the pocket of your pants. Didn't you notice when you helped me take off my pants? Chapter 727. Bailier found something in the pocket. Looking at the thing in her hand, she gritted her teeth and glared at it. She looked like she wanted to tear it into pieces. Charlotte had actually put a condom in his pocket. What kind of man would put a condom in his pocket? Pervert. Shameless. Pervert. Pig. Bailier muttered a lot of curse words in one breath. Charlotte looked at the mixed-race woman who was cursing him through the bathroom door. He wanted to stuff something into her mouth. Bailier's gaze moved to Charlotte's pants. She then picked up Charlotte's pants and searched his pockets. There was a wallet and a phone in Xia Lei's trouser pocket. Bailier tried to unlock the screen of the phone. After 2 consecutive mistakes, she didn't dare to try again. She opened Charlotte's wallet. There were a few gold cards and a metal tube in the wallet. The metal tube was only the size of a pen and was small and exquisite. One end of the metal tube was sealed, and the other end had a lid. It looked like a container. Bailier looked at the bathroom door warily and then quickly opened the lid of the metal tube. There was a rolled-up note in the metal tube. She opened the note and saw the content. Mr. A, I've already talked to the Japanese. I've provided them with the technology of the Thunder Dragon Smart Machine Tool, the Gale Assault Rifle, the XL 2500 Sniper Rifle, and the Hellhound Cannon. They've provided me with artificial intelligence technology, which includes neural network technology. This technology can make radar more advanced, and it can even be used in electronic warfare as an offensive weapon. With this technology, our air defense network will be more powerful, and our electronic warfare strength will also be greatly improved. The Japanese think they've made a profit, but they don't know that they've been treated like stupid pigs. They think that the Thunder Dragon Smart Machine Tool is my best technology. They definitely don't know that I've already given up on the Thunder Dragon Smart Machine Tool. I've already started Project X. It won't be long before it comes out and shocks the world. So, Mr. A, I'm using the technology I'm prepared to give up in exchange for the technology we need. This is a very good deal. Please wait for my good news. The words on the note were written in Chinese, but Bailier quickly finished reading it. She was obviously proficient in Chinese. Who is Mr. A? This note seemed to be a piece of information that he wanted to pass on. The most advanced machine tool in the world was actually an outdated technology that he had given up. What exactly was his Plan X? This is too terrifying. Bailier's heart was already in shock. In the bathroom, Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. What Mr. A? What Plan X? Of course, none of that was real. The metal tube in his pocket and the information in the metal tube were prepared specifically for Lear. Miss Hattori, could you please bring me my towel? I forgot to take the towel. It's in the closet. Charlotte said aloud. Charlotte's voice startled Lear. She hurriedly rolled up the note and stuffed it into the metal pipe, then put the metal pipe into Charlotte's pocket. Hattori-san? Charlotte's voice came from the bathroom again. Okay, I'll bring it to you right away. Lear came back to her senses. She hurriedly put Charlotte's pants back in place, then found a bath towel from the closet and handed it to Charlotte. Knock, knock. Lear gently knocked on the atomized glass door of the bathroom. Charlotte opened the door a little and stretched his hand out. Lear placed the bath towel in Charlotte's hand, but just as she was about to withdraw her hand, Charlotte suddenly grabbed her hand. You. Lear suddenly became nervous. Charlotte's hand pulled inside and pulled Lear in. The bathroom was filled with hot steam, and a man hidden in the mist was like a male mermaid from the deep-sea world. His body was perfect, and even the most picky woman would not be able to find any fault with it. Although Lear hated this Chinaman, she couldn't help but be attracted to his body. Just as Lear was in a daze, Charlotte suddenly hugged her and kissed her cherry lips. Ugh! Lear turned her head away and said angrily, Bastard, what are you trying to do? A trace of displeasure flashed in Charlotte's eyes, and he kissed her again. Lear suddenly pushed Charlotte away and blurted out, Pervert! Who do you think you are? Do you think you're a king? Whoever you want has to sleep with you. Arrogant! Charlotte suddenly laughed and shrugged. Good scolding, are you done? Lear stopped scolding, but she was scolding herself in her heart. She had come with her father's mission, but her emotions had clearly gone out of control just now. She began to worry that she had angered Charlotte. If she angered Charlotte, how could she complete the mission? Thinking of this, she began to regret it again. She stood in front of Charlotte in a daze, her mind in a mess. Actually, she couldn't be blamed for this. Charlotte had suddenly dragged her into the bathroom, and she had just finished showering. It was already very restrained for her not to scream for help. If you're done scolding, then leave. Charlotte said indifferently. Mr. Xiai. Lear immediately panicked. No need to explain. Charlotte said, It's my fault. I misunderstood. You came to the hotel to find me, and even let me take a bath. I thought you liked me. I actually quite like you. So I couldn't help but want to be intimate with you just now. I didn't expect you to not like me at all. If you don't like me, why did you come to my room? You even let me take a bath? Sometimes, when a woman let a man take a bath, it was a hint to go to bed. Mr. Xia, I'm sorry. No need to apologize to me. You can go. Charlotte reached out to pick up the towel that had fallen to the ground and wrapped it around his waist. Lear hesitated for a moment. I actually came to ask you when we're going to trade. Since we're going to trade, we have to agree on a time and place. I didn't expect Mr. Xia to misunderstand. I'm really sorry. Trade? There's no trade, Charlotte said with a straight face. I found out that my view of you Japanese was wrong. You Japanese will only respect those who have conquered you, such as the Americans. You Japanese simply look down on us Chinese. No matter what we do, we can't change this. If that's the case, why would I trade with you? You develop your business. We develop ours. We have nothing to do with each other. I don't believe that we can surpass you. Lear was anxious. Mr. Xia, it's not like that. You misunderstood. Really, I definitely didn't mean to look down on you Chinese. Apologize to you. She bowed deeply to Charlotte. Charlotte walked past her. Mr. Xia? Lear's intestines were almost green with regret. If it weren't for her arrogance just now, how could there be such trouble now? Did you apologize for the history of World War II? Did you apologize for what happened in Nanjing? You didn't apologize for such a big thing and kept quibbling. Do I still care about your apology to me? Let's go. We have nothing else to talk about. Deal, no deal. Charlotte's tone was resolute. That's a deal that benefits both of us. Are you going to cancel it just because I rejected you? Lear was also a little angry. I'm the only one who has my skills. I can trade with whoever I want. Will I die if I don't trade with you Japanese? Don't think that I'm really interested in your artificial intelligence technology. I'm actually interested in you. What I don't understand is that you're a senior employee of Lockheed Martin Corporation, but you're working for the Japanese Army. Who are you? You don't have any ulterior motives for getting close to me, do you? Charlotte looked straight at Bai Lier. His eyes seemed to be able to see through her heart. No, I have no other motives. I'm Japanese. I just want our country to be stronger. I'm not a spy. My identity in Lockheed Martin Corporation is just an employee, and that's just a job. In fact, Lockheed Martin Corporation was able to give me that position because of my father. Lockheed Martin Corporation's military sales to Japan are huge. Do you understand what I'm saying? Bai Lier braced herself and looked into Charlotte's eyes. I don't need any explanation from you. Go. If you don't go, I'll ask someone to let you go. Charlotte was unreasonable. Bai Lier thought that with her explanation, the situation would ease up, but she didn't expect that Charlotte didn't want to listen at all and asked her to leave. If she left, her father Hattori Misao's plan and Gu Qiuan's plan would all be ruined. At this time, she wanted to slap herself for her arrogant behavior just now. Forget it, I'll call the French. They'll take you out of this hotel. Charlotte walked towards the door. Mr. Xiao, wait. Charlotte turned around, and with just a glance, he was stunned. The black evening gown on Bai Lier's body had already slipped off her shoulders, and a beautiful scene was immediately exposed to the air. Her skin was like snow in March, white with a hint of pink, pink with a hint of white, so delicate that it seemed as if it would melt under the sun. On her body, the places that should be big were big, the places that should be curvy were curvy, and her figure was graceful. There was a place where the vegetation had been carefully trimmed, making it look particularly high-end and classy. The most eye-catching thing was that there was a tattoo of a white tiger and a female ninja on her lower abdomen and half of her buttocks. This tattoo added a hint of valiance to her quiet and charming appearance. What are you doing? Charlotte said hypocritically. Do you think I'm a casual person? If that was the case, Bai Lier really wanted to pounce on him and dig a few bloody grooves on his face with her nails. However, this kind of impulse could only be thought in her heart. In the face of Charlotte's teasing, she gently bit her lips, then walked towards Charlotte. I actually like you very much, I just think it's too fast. However, if you want me, I won't refuse. Really? Charlotte's tone had already softened, with a hint of excitement. Pervert, I'll kill you after the deal is over. Bai Lier secretly said in her heart, but her face revealed a charming smile. Of course it's true. You're the most outstanding man I've ever seen. You're so beautiful. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Charlotte had a lecherous look on his face. Bai Lier suddenly reached out and pulled off Charlotte's bath towel, then slowly slid down his body. Charlotte closed his eyes. Now is not the time to think about any deal, but the time to enjoy the joy of being a man. Everything was under his control. Was what was really happening in front of him superfluous? No, it was not superfluous at all. The mixed-race woman in front of him was the bait that Hattori Misao hung on the hook to catch him. If he didn't take the bait and took the bait, it would instead be an opening. This time, his opponent was not only Hattori Misao, but also Gu Qiuan. Behind Gu Qiuan stood two major camps, the CIB and the FA organization. He could not afford to make any mistakes. Mr. Xian, how about the deal? Don't stop. Absolutely no problem. We'll deal whenever you say, and we'll deal wherever you say. Charlotte was already in a state of thinking with the lower half of his body. Bai Lier's mouth curved into a sneer, and there was a trace of saliva. Chapter 728. The light of dawn dispelled the darkness, and the golden sunlight made people feel warm. Charlotte had woken up before dawn, but he had been lying in bed pretending to be asleep. He was sure that Bai Lier had woken up a long time ago, and she was also pretending to be asleep. One bed, two people pretending to be asleep. This is really an interesting thing. Next, she'll tell her father, Hattori Misao, that I've taken the bait, right? She'll tell Hattori Misao what she saw in the note. Hattori Misao and Gu Qiuan couldn't find out anything about Mr. A because he didn't exist. However, Hattori Masao and Gu Kyun would definitely waste a lot of brain cells on Plan X. This fake plan would make them take action immediately. Hattori Masao's target is my technology, and Gu Kyun's target is me. So, where are they going to catch me? Charlotte pondered over Hattori Masao and Gu Kyun's plan, and at the same time, he was thinking of a countermeasure. The woman beside him moved, and her unwrapped pink ball touched Charlotte. It was warm, soft, and smooth. It felt like heated jelly, gently pressed against his skin. Charlotte's heart felt like it was being scratched by a furry cat's paw, and he couldn't help but feel itchy. Bailey hurriedly moved her body to the side. The fight last night had shown her how powerful this man was. She didn't want to provoke him and then attract a storm that would destroy a delicate flower. However, this was clearly her wishful thinking. She had just moved her body away when the man beside her stuck to her like a piece of sticky candy. He stuck close to her body and eliminated all gaps in distance. "Baby, are you awake?" Charlotte said gently in her ear. Bailey's body couldn't help but tremble. She gritted her teeth and didn't dare to make a sound. She could feel the strong change in the man behind her. It made her nervous, scared, and full of desire. Her heart was in a mess. She knew her relationship with Charlotte very well. He wasn't her lover, and she wasn't his baby. She was just the woman who wanted to lure him into a killing trap. However, even though they were clearly enemies, when this man touched her body, she was so sensitive that she couldn't help but want to experience that kind of hearty joy. This kind of physical desire made her feel ashamed and angry, but she just couldn't control it. The terrifying truth was that her heart had not been conquered by this man, but her body was about to fall. "Baby, are you awake?" Charlotte blew hot air into the woman's ear. If he continued to pretend to be asleep, his acting skills would probably be at the level of an extra. Bailey did not open her mouth, but a soft hum came from her throat. "I am in so much pain," said Charlotte. Bailey was stunned for a moment, and her heart was filled with curiosity. "What?" Charlotte sighed. "I fell in love with you the first time I saw you. Last night, I actually used the deal between me and your father to force you to be with me. I'm such a beast. My heart is filled with remorse. I wish I could." "Wish for what?" Bailey turned around and faced Charlotte. She was really curious as to why Charlotte would have such a reaction. However, she liked listening to Xiao Lei's words. In this world, there was only one kind of woman who didn't like to listen to sweet words, and that was a deaf woman. "I wish I could slap myself." Charlotte really reached out and slapped his own face. He didn't use any strength, but there was still a sound. Bailey grabbed Charlotte's hand and said hypocritically, "Don't be like this. I was a little angry yesterday, but after last night, I'm not angry anymore. You're the kind of man I want." "Really? Really?" Bailey looked at Charlotte with a loving gaze. It was as if the word true was carved on her forehead. "I love you," Charlotte said affectionately. Bailey wanted to say, "I love you too," but she couldn't say that word. She felt disgusted. She couldn't say it, and Charlotte didn't give her a chance to say it. Just as she was hesitating whether she should bite the bullet and say, "I love you too," Charlotte's lips blocked her mouth, and then there was an extra tongue in her mouth. She struggled for a moment, tried to push the man beside her away, but this man was like the owner of her body. It wasn't a path that she was familiar with. In just a moment, the woman's brain quickly couldn't think. Her body seemed to have fallen into a swamp, and the more she struggled, the deeper she sank. After breakfast, Charlotte sent Bailey to the underground parking lot. He saw Bailey's car, which was a Bugatti Veyron Supersport. This car was priced at $6 million, and it was a top-tier luxury car in the truest sense of the word. This supercar also made Charlotte think. With Bailey's salary at Lockheed Martin Corporation, she definitely can't afford this supercar. For her to be able to drive such a car, her family definitely isn't just ordinarily rich. Hattori Masao is a general in the self-defense forces of Japan, and this isn't a lucrative profession. Could it be that her family has a lot of assets in Japan? "All right, I have to go." Bailey opened the car door. Charlotte put away his thoughts, gently hugged her waist, and kissed her. "Drive carefully." and say hello to your father for me. Okay, I will. Er's face had a sweet smile. Let's have dinner together tonight. I want to tell my father about our relationship. He'll be even happier. So fast. Charlotte looked a little surprised. Curled the corner of her mouth. What? Do you think it's too fast? We Japanese are a people who pay attention to efficiency, and we don't like to procrastinate. No, I just don't know what gift to buy. Charlotte said. My father likes to drink red wine. Just buy 2 bottles of red wine. Lear said. Charlotte smiled. Okay then, where shall we meet tonight? Don't go back to the hotel after the exhibition in the afternoon. Come to the Lockheed Martin Corporation exhibition area to find me. We'll go together. Do you have property in Paris? Yes, it's on the banks of the Seine. It's very beautiful. You like that place? All right, I have to go. See you in the afternoon. Lear got into the car, started the car, and left. After watching Lear drive away, Charlotte took out his satellite phone and dialed a number. It's me. After the call was connected, Charlotte said, help me check Hattori Masao's assets in Japan and Lear or Hattori Masao's property in Paris. Roger. Amanda's voice. Charlotte hung up and left the underground parking lot. As soon as he walked out of the entrance of the underground parking lot, he saw Jacqueline Eva. She looked calm, but there was a hint of displeasure in her eyes. Charlotte knew why she was unhappy. He walked over to Jacqueline Eva and said with a smile, Eva, good morning. How are your preparations going? I'm not responsible for that. Someone else will prepare it. How are your preparations? Jacqueline Eva asked. Charlotte said, I've already called back home. My workers and engineers have already started work. The first batch of equipment will be shipped to France in a month. It's faster than I thought. Of course, I don't expect it to take more than 3 months to complete the entire transaction. Charlotte said, so you have to remind your people to prepare what they want to give us. Also, don't try to fool us. I'm not the one receiving the things you want from us. We have a team of experts in charge of receiving them. They will verify the authenticity of your technology. That won't happen, Jacqueline Eva said. That's good. Last night, Jacqueline Eva changed the topic. My people said that you brought back a woman. I checked the surveillance video and found that it was by Leal. Well, yes. Charlotte was a little embarrassed. Although he didn't need to explain anything to Jacqueline Eva, and their relationship was just a mutual use, they were still people who had slept together. It was inevitable that they would feel a little awkward. She's not a simple person, and her father is a general of the self-defense forces. You're Chinese. Aren't you afraid of getting into trouble by hanging out with her? Charlotte could tell that she was a little worried about his relationship with Leal. He didn't know if it was because of herself or because of his deal with France, but he was a little touched by her concern. Thank you. Charlotte smiled. I know what I'm doing, but don't worry. I'm just playing around. I won't get into any trouble. A smile appeared on Jacqueline's face. That's good. Just play around. Don't take it too seriously. Men are the easiest to fall for a woman's tricks. Also, if you want to sleep with her, you'd better do it in this hotel. If you leave this hotel, I can't protect you. Charlotte nodded. I got it. Thank you. It could be seen that Jacqueline Eva's concern was out of a cooperative relationship, not the kind of concern between lovers. But this was the result he wanted. When Jacqueline and Eva were ordered to approach him and seduce him, it was for his skills, not for him as a person. Sleeping with her was just to speed up the process of the cooperation and make it a little more enjoyable. Apart from that, there was nothing else. I'll take you to the Villepinte Exhibition Center. Jacqueline Eva didn't seem to want to talk about Leal anymore. Well, let's go then. Charlotte readily agreed. When they arrived at the Villepinte Exhibition Center, Jacqueline Eva drove away. Her mission is complete, and my relationship with her should end. Charlotte thought to himself, when it was time to end, it was time to end it. Entanglement would only cause trouble. As they walked to the Rema Group exhibition hall, Amanda called. Boss, I found it. Charlotte was a little surprised. So fast. Tell me, Hattori Masao's family isn't simple. The Hattori family was very active during the Meiji Restoration and was the first family in Japan to accept science and technology from the outside world. During that period, the Hattori family developed very quickly and accumulated a lot of money. During World War II, The Hattori family disappeared for a while, but after the end of World War II, they reappeared and became an important force in Japan's Renaissance. The Hattori family entered the military, political, and business circles and had a lot of power. What I can find out so far is that the Hattori family has a Vico corporation in Japan. The president is Hattori Misao's wife, Amos. Vico Corporation? What's their main business? This company doesn't have any obvious marketing activities. Maybe I didn't find it. But I found out that this company sponsors a lot of scientists and private laboratories. In addition, this company also has its own laboratory, which is researching artificial intelligence. Charlotte's heart inexplicably moved. Also, I found Hattori Misao and Beryl's real estate in Paris that you asked me to investigate. There's a villa on the south bank of the Seine in the 7th arrondissement, not far from the Japanese embassy. Beryl is the owner of this property. Charlotte said, continue to investigate the Hattori family. Also, let our people stroll around the villa and familiarize themselves with the terrain. Roger. Amanda hung up the phone. Charlotte's lips curled into a smile. That villa was probably the place for his date with Yai Baby tonight, right? Chapter 729. It was dusk, and the clouds in the sky burned like fire. It was a spectacular sight. A Bugatti Veyron Supersport raced down the road, attracting a lot of attention. The driver was by Lyle. She wore a pair of sunglasses, and there was a hint of coldness in her charm. Her charm wasn't just about her looks, but also about her beauty. Charlotte understood all those beauties and had experienced them himself. Charlotte sat in the front passenger seat, holding a high-end gift box in his hands. There were 2 bottles of romantic connie in the box. They were aged for 5 years, and the market price was 100,000 euros per bottle. However, these 2 bottles of wine were bought from Chinatown by Charlotte's men. They were fake and cost 50 euros per bottle. Moreover, they required a high-end gift box. If they used ordinary packaging, it would only cost about 30 euros. Giving Hattori Misao a bottle of red wine worth 100,000 euros per bottle? He had nothing better to do. He couldn't even bear to drink such luxurious red wine. So how could he give Hattori Misao such a high-end red wine? However, he was going to meet his girlfriend's father, so he had to be presentable. Giving fake romantic connie was better than giving a bottle of Great Wall red wine, or Jean U Cabernet Sauvignon that cost dozens of yuan per bottle, right? The Bugatti Veyron Supersport soon arrived in the 7th arrondissement and drove along the south bank of the Seine. Bilal slowed down the car. She glanced at the high-end gift box in Charlotte's hands and found a topic of conversation. It looks good. What wine did you buy? Charlotte patted the gift box lightly. Well, it's nothing. Just 2 bottles of romantic connie. Bilal was slightly moved. How old is it? 10 years old, Charlotte said. Huh. Bilal looked surprised. 10 years old romantic connie costs more than 100,000 euros per bottle. Why did you buy such an expensive gift? Charlotte's left hand left the gift box and landed on Bilal's thigh. He enjoyed the wonderful touch of her delicate skin while pretending to be affectionate. I'm serious. I want to leave a good impression on your father. If I want to marry you, the first person I have to impress is your father. Bailey had a blissful expression on her face, but she thought to herself, you actually want to marry me? I'm afraid I'll have to wait for my next life. Charlotte suddenly thought of something. All right, who else is there? Just my father and his guards. Then there's you and me, and no one else. Beth said, I don't know why, but I'm a little nervous. Don't be nervous. Isn't it just a meeting? Actually, you've already met. That's different. The last time we met, I made your father unhappy. Now that I think about it, I regret it. No, I'm getting more and more nervous. What can I do for you? Charlotte's hand slipped into her skirt. This is much better. Bailey was speechless. Pervert, beast, pig. Rogue. These were the words that Bailey cursed in her heart. But in reality, she meekly accepted Charlotte's perverted hands, using the gentleness and obedience unique to women to satisfy this man. She couldn't control the secretion of her hormones, and the place that was violated was like an abalone that had been freshly baked and covered with sauce. In by Lee's heart, Charlotte was a lecherous B*TCH, a pervert with a lot of bad habits. And this was also the image that Charlotte had been trying to create for her. If he appeared righteous and unperturbed, he would be easily seduced and fall into a trap. Would that be normal? Although Xia Lei hadn't watched an actor's self-cultivation, he knew how to act this scene. 10 minutes later, a villa entered Charlotte's sight. It was an old building, Gothic style, like a castle in a fairy tale. A port like this, a house like this, could not be bought without tens of millions of euros. Such a house made the Hattori family even more mysterious. Baili drove the car into the villa. Charlotte got out of the car and followed Baili into the old building. After entering the door, there was a Gothic hall with a very high dome. There were also religious murals and a lot of black decorations. Hattori Masao stood in the middle of the hall, a complicated hexagram pattern under his feet. A black suit, a stalwart figure, an expressionless face, and the cold style of a soldier were on full display. "Father, we're back," Baili said. Hattori Masao didn't say anything. He looked coldly at Charlotte. This acting is really good. Charlotte sneered in his heart, but he smiled on the surface. "Mr. Hattori, good evening." Hattori Masao still didn't say anything. Hattori Masao's attitude made Charlotte not know how to continue, so he stood still. Baili touched Charlotte's arm, looking a little wronged. "My father already knows about us, and he's very unhappy." With Hattori Masao's current appearance, even a blind man could see that he was unhappy. Charlotte coughed awkwardly and walked over to Hattori Masao with a gift box. "Mr. Hattori, no. Uncle, I brought you 2 bottles of red wine. I hope you like it." "Father, Charlotte bought you a 10-year romanticani. He's very sincere," Baili said. Hattori Masao glared at Baili. Baili, then shut her mouth. A dignified soldier father and a cute but cowardly daughter. Without a doubt, this pair of father and daughter played their roles to the fullest. "Uncle, please accept it." Charlotte was very respectful. Hattori Masao took the gift box that Charlotte handed to him with both hands. A smile finally appeared on his face, but his tone was still very strict. "Charlotte, you really love my daughter, right?" "Of course, I swear to God." Charlotte raised a hand, ready to swear. Hattori Masao pressed Charlotte's hand down. "I don't need you to swear anything. I don't believe in those things. I didn't expect you to be with my daughter. I can't interfere in the affairs of you young people. But remember one thing. If you just want to play with my daughter, I won't forgive you. No, I'm true to Miss Baili. Charlotte looked at Baili affectionately. "When I first saw Miss Baili, I fell deeply in love with her. I know very well what I want, and I can tell you with certainty that in this life, she's the only one I'll marry. No one can break us apart unless I die. That's enough. You might be able to fool my daughter with those words. I'm a man, and I don't like to hear such sweet words." Hattori Masao said. Baili let out a sigh of relief. "Idiot, hurry up and thank my father. He's already agreed." Charlotte was a little slow. Thank you, uncle. Thank you, uncle. I won't let you down. Can I not agree?" Hattori Masao glared at Charlotte. "You're already together, so there's no point in me objecting. In the future, don't call her by her English name. Just call her by her Japanese name, my Hattori. This is also a form of acknowledgement from our family." Charlotte nodded. "You two come with me. Let's have dinner together." Hattori Masao turned and walked down a corridor. Baili led Charlotte and followed Hattori Masao into the corridor. Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly. He had already taken the first step and pierced through the building in front of him that blocked his view. What surprised him was that there was no one hiding in the room in front of him. There was no Gu Qin, no CIB, and no FA organization personnel. The place was eerily quiet. Didn't this father and daughter pair lure me here to set a trap to catch me? Could it be that the father and daughter have changed their plans? Xiaolei was puzzled. The three arrived at a dining room. There was a long dining table in the dining room. There were more than a dozen exquisite dishes on the table, as well as 2 decanters filled with red wine. Seeing the decanter and the red wine in the decanter, Charlotte secretly let out a sigh of relief. If Hattori Masao opened his wine and drank it right now, he really didn't know how to explain the taste of the wine. Hattori Masao sat at the top of the dining table. Charlotte and my Hattori sat on either side of him. Then the three shared dinner in a slightly awkward atmosphere. Hattori Masao broke the silence. Charlotte, I have a question to ask you, but I don't know if you can answer me. What question? Uncle, ask away. Charlotte said, You are involved in the military industry in China, and you are also the father of rifles in China, enjoying the highest honor. But my daughter is Japanese, and she is the daughter of a Japanese military officer. Given the historical grievances between the two countries, aren't you worried that someone will cause you trouble after you return to China? Charlotte said, Of course I'm worried, but love shouldn't have national boundaries. I don't care that Mai is Japanese, and I don't care that Mai is your daughter. I'm not afraid of any trouble, and I can overcome it. Are you really not afraid of trouble? Why should I be afraid? To tell you the truth, Uncle, my wealth is not my company, but myself. I have the most advanced technology in the world. I can shut down the military factory in China at any time and start over anywhere in the world. UAE, France, Germany, Italy, Argentina, I could go anywhere I want. Hattori Masao and my Hattori couldn't help but look at each other. It seemed to be an exchange of glances. Hattori Masao tentatively said, Have you ever considered Japan? Japan? I haven't considered it before, but now that I have why wouldn't I consider going to Japan? Charlotte said straightforwardly. He. Hattori Masao couldn't help but laugh. My Hattori stood up and took the decanter to refill Charlotte's wine glass. She seemed to have entered the role of Charlotte's woman. Charlotte, you said it well, but should I believe you? Hattori Masao looked straight at Charlotte. Charlotte raised his hand. I swear to God. Hattori Masao interrupted Charlotte. Don't swear. I've already said it clearly. I don't believe this. It's very simple to prove to me that you're sincere to Mai. How do I prove it? Charlotte asked. Give me your technology, Hattori Masao said. Thunder Dragon AI machine tool, XL 2500 sniper rifle, Gale assault rifle, and Hellhound cannon. Do you want all of these technologies? Charlotte asked. Hattori Masao nodded. Yes, I want all of them. This is also the only way to prove that you are sincere to Mai. Charlotte was silent for a moment, then said, Then when are you going to give me the AI technology? You. Hattori Masao was stunned. You slept with our daughter, and we've been acting for so long. Now that we're talking about business, you still want the AI technology? My Hattori's expression turned cold. Charlotte said seriously, Love is love, and business is business. I'm a man of principles. We've already made a verbal agreement, so we have to follow the agreement. You give me the AI technology, and I'll give you my technology. My Hattori and Hattori Masao couldn't help but exchange a look. If words were used to interpret the look in the father and daughter's eyes, they would probably say, Why doesn't this shameless guy go die? Chapter 730. To Hattori Masao, the best outcome would be for his daughter to capture Charlotte's heart and soul. That way, he would be able to obtain all of Rema Group's technologies without sacrificing his AI technology. But now, it seemed like this China kid was playing the pig to eat the tiger. He wanted to sleep with his daughter, but he also wanted the AI technology. Hattori Masao really wanted to scold Charlotte, but Charlotte's words made sense. Business was business, and love was love. If he used the relationship between my Hattori and Charlotte to force Charlotte to give him the technology he wanted, wouldn't he be reminding Charlotte that this was a trap? Although I feel bad, what you said makes sense. Hattori Masao suppressed the anger in his heart and deliberately maintained a calm tone. All right then, Charlotte, I can give you my AI technology anytime. When can you give me what I want? I prepared it for a long time. Charlotte reached into his pocket and took out a portable USB. He placed it on the dining table. This USB contains the relevant blueprints and control programs. If you follow these blueprints, you can build the production line for the XL 2500 sniper rifle, the Gale assault rifle, the Hellhound cannon, and the Thunder Dragon AI machine tool. My Hattori suddenly reached for the USB on the dining table. Charlotte's hand flashed, and the USB was in his hand again. You keep saying that you love me, and your mouth is full of sweet nothings. My Hattori was finally angry, but I don't see any sincerity. You're lying to me. You're a liar. Charlotte had an innocent expression on his face. You hurt my heart. I love you. I can swear to God. Enough. My Hattori slammed the knife in her hand on the table. Other than swearing, what else can you do? I won't believe you anymore. You've broken my heart. Charlotte wasn't angry at all. How do I know you're not lying to me? How can I be sure that you're not with me for my skills? My Hattori's anger seemed to have been extinguished by a basin of water. It was not until then that she seemed to recognize her opponent. The man in front of her started from scratch and built Rema Group with his own hands. He was not only the father of rifles in China, but also an academician and vice president of the China Academy of Sciences. The technology he mastered even made the European and American powers jealous. With such a man, would he be a fool who could be deceived by sleeping with him? I've said that I'm a man of principle. Business is business. Love is love. Dentist, I didn't use our love to trick you into giving me the AI technology, did I? Charlotte looked at Hattori Misao. Uncle, I didn't ask you to do that, did I? Why do you associate pure love with business? Isn't this blasphemy against love? If there was a time-stop device in this world, Hattori Misao really wanted to stop time and stop Charlotte's Oscar-winning face. Then, he would walk over and stab a dinner knife into his forehead. He might even carve a turtle or a pile of shit on his forehead with a dinner knife. Ahem. Although he wanted to kick him in the face, Hattori Misao's face revealed a friendly smile. Charlotte, you're right. Mai and I were too impatient. Since you've brought the things here, let's make a deal. He stood up. I'll make a call and have our engineers come over. As long as we can confirm that the things you're offering are real, we'll complete the deal. Uncle, where are your engineers? Charlotte probed. They're staying at a hotel nearby. They'll be here in a few minutes. All right then. Tell them to come over, Charlotte said. Hattori Misao left the restaurant. How are you going to inspect the goods? My Hattori asked Charlotte. I can tell if it's real or not, Charlotte said. This wasn't a lie. Although artificial intelligence technology was much more complicated than intelligent machine tools, some of the fundamentals were the same. He was the world's best electrical engineer. His brain could easily solve Riemann's conjecture. How could he not tell if the artificial intelligence technology Hattori Misao gave him was real or not? My Hattori stared at Charlotte with a strange look in her eyes. Why are you looking at me like that? Charlotte asked. I suddenly remembered something you said. What? You said that your wealth isn't from your company, but from yourself. I believe it's true. You're probably the smartest person I've ever met in this world. Xiaolei smiled. Everything I've said to you is true. It's just that you don't want to believe it. A cold smile appeared on my Hattori's face. Charlotte didn't even let her touch the USB flash drive. How could she believe the sweet words he said to her on the pillow? To hell with it. Now that she looked at the man in front of her, she couldn't help but think of the despicable things she did to please him last night. Her heart was filled with hatred. Just you wait, you pervert, dirty pig. Once the deal is over, you'll go to hell. When that time comes, I want you to kneel in front of me and use your tongue to clean the soles of my shoes. My Hattori thought hatefully. Charlotte pretended to feel guilty. He avoided my Hattori's gaze and looked in the direction Hattori Misao left. His left eye twitched slightly, and the wall that blocked his line of sight silently disappeared from his sight. In the room behind the wall, Hattori Misao was on the phone. Hattori Misao was speaking in Japanese, but that wasn't a problem for him. He used his left eye to lock onto Hattori Misao's lips and began to use his lip-reading spell to decipher Misao's words. That China kid has put the blueprints and control program of the Thunder Dragon AI machine tool, the XL 2500 sniper rifle, the Gale assault rifle, and the Hellhound artillery technology into a USB flash drive. Hurry up and come over. I need you to determine if the contents of the USB flash drive are real. Hattori Misao said. The lip-reading spell was very useful, but it also had a very obvious drawback. He couldn't decipher the voice on the phone. There's no need to inform the ambassador. You have to remember that you are part of the Hattori family. You just need to follow my instructions. You don't have to worry about anything else. I'll take care of it. All right, I'll be right there. Hattori Masao hung up. Although he couldn't decipher the voice on the phone, Charlotte could make some guesses based on Hattori Masao's words. The person who answered Hattori Masao's phone call was most likely someone from the Hattori family's company. The other party asked Hattori Masao if he wanted to inform the Japanese ambassador, but Hattori Masao refused. Hattori Masao's intentions were clear. He wanted to take over the Rema Group's technology. Every man for himself, and heaven and earth destroy him. If the Hattori family got their hands on the Rema Group's technology, with the Hattori family's financial, material, and human resources, it was not impossible for the Hattori family to build a behemoth that could challenge Lockheed Martin Corporation. He really has a good plan, Charlotte thought to himself. Then he sneered in his heart. But it's useless. Without the ultra-precise core components that he personally processed, even if he handed over all the blueprints and control programs to Hattori Masao would not be able to build a qualified Gale assault rifle. What happened to the Germans was a classic example. He built the production lines for the XL 2500 sniper rifle and the Gale assault rifle, and the Lei Long smart machine tool was about to be assembled. However, he only destroyed a few core components, and the two production lines and the Lei Long smart machine tool were scrapped. If the Germans couldn't do it, how could the Japanese? However, the Germans would never talk about it, and the Japanese would never know about it. Therefore, from a normal person's point of view, Hattori Masao brought over the blueprints and control programs. So, it was a complete deal. The Japanese had enough confidence to turn the blueprints into a real production line and the world's most advanced smart machine tool to create more powerful weapons of war. However, whether it was the Germans or the French or now the Japanese, they all ignored an obvious problem. That was, Charlotte's most powerful technology wasn't the machine tool, nor was it the weapon. It was his brain, his left eye, and his hands. Hattori Masao stayed in the room for more than 10 seconds, then picked up his phone and dialed another number. Who was he calling? Charlotte suddenly thought of a person, and his eyes locked onto Hattori Masao's lips again. It's me. He's already in my house. The plan is going smoothly, but you have to delay the time to capture him. Why? My daughter stole a very important piece of information. He has a Plan X. I think it has something to do with Rema Group's large-scale expansion. I need some time to figure out what this Plan X. He's cunning? I know he's cunning, but it's useless even if he's the most cunning person in the world. He's with me, and I can take him down at any time. Charlotte had guessed that the person was Gu Qin, and the content of Hattori Masao's call proved that his guess was correct. How much time? Hattori Masao glanced at the watch on his wrist. Starting from now, 6 hours. After 6 hours, whether or not I figure out what Plan X is, you can come to me and take him away. I'm not discussing this with you. My decision will not change. You and your people better not ruin my plan. That's it. 6 hours, not even a minute earlier. Hattori Masao hung up. Charlotte retracted his gaze. Gu Qin was nearby, ready to rush in and capture him at any time. But now, because of a non-existent Plan X, Hattori Masao had given Gu Qin a time limit of 6 hours, and his attitude was firm. Not even a minute earlier. 6 hours. By that time, the deal would have been over. How will he get the secret of Plan X out of me? Charlotte couldn't help but wonder. Hattori Masao returned to the dining room. Charlotte, come with me to the study. Our expert will be here soon. Charlotte stood up with a smile on his face. Uncle, no problem. I'll listen to your arrangements. Wait, my Hattori said. Charlotte was puzzled. What? My Hattori walked around the dining table and walked to Charlotte's side. She said gently, the corner of your mouth is a little dirty. I don't want others to say that I don't know how to take care of my man. With a soft voice that could melt a person's bones, she used a napkin to gently wipe the oil stain off the corner of Charlotte's mouth. Japanese women were really gentle. Chapter 731. Can you stop showing off your love in front of me? Hattori Masao said with a smile. Once the deal is done, you will have plenty of time to be together. My Hattori said angrily. Charlotte bullied me, and now you're making fun of me. I'm such a pitiful woman. The conversation between the father and daughter was filled with a sense of family and warmth. Charlotte followed the father and daughter up to the second floor and into a study. This was a very large study. There were several bookshelves, and the bookshelves were filled with books. There was also a meditation area in the study, and there was a futon there. Behind the futon hung an ancient painting on the wall. It depicted an ancient Japanese samurai, looking very valiant. At the bottom right corner of the painting was a Japanese name, Hattori Hanzo. Under the painting was a table used for worship. On the table was an incense burner and a knife holder. On the holder was a katana with a sheathed katana. What caught Charlotte's attention was the painting. Hattori Hanzo was a legendary samurai in Japan. He was known as the hero of Japan. He robbed the rich to help the poor and had a high reputation among the Japanese. Could the Hattori family be Hattori Hanzo's descendants? If I am, then they are an ancient family. Charlotte thought to himself, Charlotte, I'm telling you this because I think of you as family. Hattori Masao pointed at the painting on the wall and said, Hattori Hanzo is my family's ancestor. The Hattori family still believes in the samurai spirit. It was really Hattori Hanzo's descendant. I don't know much about Japanese history, but I know that Hattori Hanzo was a very powerful ninja warrior. Are there still ninjas in Japan today? Charlotte said. Hattori Masao said, China's kung fu is very famous in the world. Is there still any real kung fu in China today? Charlotte smiled. China's kung fu had always existed. He was a master of Wing Chun himself. Also, the unique skills of the Tang sect were all real. Everyone in the Tang family had unique skills, and this was a living example. But whether Japanese ninjas really exist or not, this is a very difficult thing to judge. However, judging from Hattori Masao's tone and expression, it seemed like Japanese ninjas still existed. Is there a ninja in the Hattori family? Then I'll have to be more careful. I can't be careless and underestimate the enemy. Charlotte became more vigilant in his heart. After chatting for a while, the three Japanese men came to the study a few minutes later. Among the three Japanese, the oldest one was almost 60 years old, and the other two were slightly younger, but at least in their 40s or 50s. All three of them wore glasses and were thin. At first glance, it was obvious that they were the kind of scientific researchers who neglected physical exercise. Hattori Masao introduced the three Japanese to Charlotte. The older one was Yosuke Ono, and the other two young ones were Kazuo Okayama and Saburo Mai. Hattori Masao said that they were engineers from Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, but Charlotte already knew that these three were actually from the Hattori family. If Hattori Masao said that they were engineers from Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, then they were engineers from Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. He was too lazy to expose Hattori Masao's lies. Mr. Xia, please give me the things. The older one, Yosuke Ono, did not want to waste any time. Charlotte did not move, but glanced at Hattori Masao. Oh, I almost forgot. I'll give it to you right away. Hattori Masao walked to the study table and opened a cabinet. There was a German-made safe hidden in the cabinet. He opened the safe and took out a huge bundle of blueprints and information. This was Hattori Masao's artificial intelligence technology. Charlotte estimated that the bundle of blueprints and information weighed at least 500 pieces, and it weighed 5 kilograms. I thought your artificial intelligence technology was stored in a computer. Why are they all blueprints and information? Charlotte said. Hattori Masao said, Time is of the essence. I did not have time to organize these blueprints and information into electronic files for you. But you have to believe that these are the best artificial intelligence technology in the world. Here are the automated robot technology of the production line and more advanced artificial intelligence robot technology. This includes the neural network technology that you want. Charlotte frowned. With so many blueprints and information, it would be difficult for him to deal with them. My Hattori said, Charlotte, In Japan, robots can already communicate with humans emotionally. This is due to the success of our neural network technology. It can simulate the human brain to the greatest extent. These blueprints and information are our most valuable assets. If you bring them back, you can get the artificial intelligence technology. Charlotte's gaze moved to the safe under the study table. He saw a Toshiba solid-state drive lying in the safe. He could not see the data in the solid-state drive, but he could guess what was inside. You're right, Charlotte said, but how can artificial intelligence technology not have a program? There must be a hard drive with the relevant program in the safe, right? Give it to me. Otherwise, how are we going to trade? My Hattori glanced at Hattori Misao. Haha, I almost forgot. There's indeed a hard drive. I can give it to you. Hattori Misao was straightforward. He took out the solid-state drive from a safe and placed it on top of the thick stack of blueprints and information. Charlotte handed his USB flash drive to Hattori Misao. Then, he walked to the study table and used the computer to check the contents of the hard drive. Hattori Misao handed the USB flash drive Lei had given him to Kosuke Ono, and the latter started working on the laptop he had brought. Father, why are you giving that hard drive to him? My Hattori pulled Hattori Misao behind a bookshelf and whispered, that hard drive contains V-Science Corporation's years of hard work. The things inside represent the world's most advanced artificial intelligence technology. Hattori Misao said calmly, it's just artificial intelligence technology that can't be realized. Most of them are guesses and simulations. There are not many practical things. Besides, so what if I give it to him? He won't be able to leave this place. This place is his final destination. It doesn't matter what he sees. The CIA is really coming? 6 hours later. Once our people confirm the contents of the USB flash drive, bring him to your room. You have to get information about Project X from him. My Hattori nodded. Hattori Misao patted my Hattori on the shoulder. Thank you for your hard work. My Hattori said softly, for the Hattori family, I am willing to do anything. Hattori Misao sighed. If only your brother was as mature as you. That kid has broken my heart. Tsukijin is the one who will inherit the family business. Give him some time. He will mature. That's enough. Go and see what that China kid is doing, Hattori Misao said. My Hattori responded softly. Then, she walked out from behind the bookshelf and stood behind Charlotte. Charlotte did not seem to notice my Hattori's arrival. He was completely focused on the contents of the computer screen. The contents of the computer screen were unfamiliar to him. After all, it was his first time coming into contact with advanced artificial intelligence. Under normal circumstances, when a person first came into contact with unfamiliar knowledge, especially when it was extremely complex, it was undoubtedly like reading a book. It was impossible to understand. But Charlotte had always been the most unique one. His left, I was like a camera, capturing all the contents of the computer screen into his brain. His brain processed, analyzed, calculated, and answered at the same time. Its speed was so fast that it was like a supercomputer. He had never come into contact with advanced technology like artificial intelligence, but his brain held a huge base of knowledge. Programming, mathematics, physics, chemistry, material science, electrical engineering, and so on. No matter how advanced the technology was, it was built on the foundation. With a solid foundation of knowledge that was as solid as the foundation of a pyramid, it was not difficult for him to decipher an advanced science and technology. At that moment, he looked very quiet, but his brain was like a spaceship traveling at the speed of light in space. It was operating so fast that it could not be described with words. The basic knowledge that he had come into contact with kept flashing, combining, and evolving. Then it corresponded to the contents of the solid-state drive, analyzing and interpreting it. One by one, the results were born in his brain, becoming part of his brain's warehouse. It's a mistake and the problem is not solved. Such a simple problem, and it stumped the Japanese? But to be able to research to this extent is already very impressive. The Japanese were able to rise so quickly after the war. This was not a coincidence. Another mistake. Solved. Charlotte was completely immersed in the contents of the solid-state drive, completely forgetting everything around him. My Hattori's lips moved, but in the end, she did not say anything. It was not that she did not want to disturb Charlotte, but that she was trying to guess what Charlotte was doing. This guy, he's so serious, he's not even blinking his eyes. Can he understand it? Impossible. This is something that dozens of senior software engineers, microelectronics engineers, and precision mechanical engineers of VSign Corporation worked together to develop over a few years. How can he, a gun maker, understand it? He must be pretending and testing whether what his father gave him is real or not. But it doesn't matter. These are the last few hours of your life. Even if you know that these things are real, it's meaningless. This was my Hattori's inner thoughts. She did not believe that Charlotte could understand the contents of the solid-state drive. On the other side, Suk Ono and the other two senior engineers were also busy. The contents of the USB flash drive that Charlotte gave them were displayed on a laptop. The three of them looked at it while discussing it. How is this possible? Suk Ono's voice was full of surprise. What's wrong? Hattori Masao's face darkened. Is it fake? No, Suk Ono said. It's real. I just can't believe that China's intelligent lathe technology has reached such a level. Currently, the most advanced intelligent lathe technology in the world is America and Germany. But from what I know, China's Thunder Dragon intelligent lathe is at least 20 years ahead of America's and Germany's intelligent lathe. If this Thunder Dragon intelligent lathe is popularized and used on a large scale in China's manufacturing industry, in less than 10 years, China's manufacturing industry will catch up with America and Europe, or even surpass us. Lathes were not the entire manufacturing industry, but they were equivalent to an engine. If there were no precise parts to be processed by lathes, it would be impossible to create good manufacturing equipment. Without good manufacturing equipment, how could one produce high-quality products? Suk Ono's words made Hattori Masao's heart sink. He could not help but look at Charlotte. Xia Lei continued to stare at the computer screen with rapt attention. Hattori Masao retracted his gaze. Tell me, if we follow the blueprint, can we build the Thunder Dragon intelligent lathe? We should be able to, Suk Ono said. Hattori Masao nodded slightly. Continue reading. At this time, Charlotte moved his gaze away from the monitor and began to flip through the large pile of blueprints and information. He had to store all the blueprints and information into the warehouse in his brain before Suk Ono and the other two finished reading the content he provided. Time was tight, but it was a small matter to him. Time passed slowly. Chapter 732. 3 hours passed. Ono-suk closed his laptop, then took off the USB drive and handed it to Hattori Masao. Is this okay? Hattori Masao asked. Ono-suk nodded. No problem. Are you sure? I'm sure. Ono-suk nodded again. Hattori Masao suddenly smiled. His mood was completely relaxed, and he was very happy. He walked over to Charlotte. At this time, Charlotte had also finished looking through the blueprints and information. Charlotte had actually stored the contents of the SSD and all the papers in his brain's warehouse an hour and a half ago. Then he used another hour and a half to read all the contents again to make sure that he didn't miss anything. However, no one knew that he had read all the contents twice, and no one knew that he had memorized all the contents, not even a punctuation mark. In the eyes of these Japanese, Charlotte was like a child flipping through the blueprints and information, one page after another. They didn't even look at it carefully. Who would believe that he had read all the information and blueprints twice and memorized them word for word after witnessing it with his own eyes? In the beginning, Mai Hattori would talk to him from time to time, but he didn't even say a word to her. Later, Mai Hattori couldn't be bothered with him anymore. She sat alone on the sofa and drank tea. She looked absent-minded, glancing at Charlotte from time to time, as if she had something on her mind. When Hattori Masao walked over to Charlotte with the USB drive, she also stood up from the sofa and followed Hattori Masao. Xiaolei was still burying his head in the blueprints, flipping through them one by one. He wasn't looking at blueprints at all. It was more like he was looking for something small in a pile of papers. For example, a member's coin or a young pioneer badge? Hattori Masao and my Hattori couldn't help but look at each other. The father and daughter both looked puzzled. What was this guy doing? Charlotte, how is it? Hattori Masao asked. Xiaolei raised his head and looked at him with a worried expression. It's too complicated. It looks like I'm having a hard time, and I can't remember anything at all. If I had known earlier, I would have brought my expert with me. Now, I'm not even sure if what you gave me is real. I'm worried to death. Hattori Masao furrowed his brows and unhappily said, You're hurting our relationship. Are you questioning my integrity? I swear on the honor of my ancestors that everything I've given you is genuine. It's very important, very valuable. If it's so important and valuable, why is it in France? They should be in Japan. Charlotte said, My Hattori family has a laboratory in France. These resources are shared, Hattori Masako said. Only then did Charlotte remember the results of the investigation that Amanda had given him. She had said that the Hattori family had funded many laboratories and researchers. Based on this situation, it wasn't strange that the Hattori family had a laboratory in France and shared resources. However, he had at least casually asked. He had already confirmed that these things were genuine and of great value. He had only asked to create a smokescreen to give the other party the illusion that he didn't understand anything. I see. Uncle, if you didn't tell me, I really wouldn't have known. After a pause, Charlotte changed the topic. Has your people finished testing? Yes, they're done. Is there any problem? No problem. You're an honest person. I'm very happy for you. Charlotte smiled. I don't have many good points. The only good thing about me is that I'm honest. Oh, and one more thing, I love women. These words made my Hattori roll her eyes. Whether Charlotte loved women or not, she had a certain say. Her eye roll was the answer she gave him. Okay, it's getting late. You can sleep here tonight. Hattori Masao said, It's so late. It's not convenient to go back. Charlotte said, I won't stay overnight. I have to take these things back to my expert. Hattori Masao's face suddenly became gloomy. What's wrong with you? I'm kind enough to let you stay here. Is my kindness making things difficult for you? Charlotte wanted to say something, but stopped. My Hattori then took Charlotte's arm and said, You made my father unhappy. You can take these things back tomorrow and show them to your expert. Why are you in such a hurry? Besides, it's hard to call a taxi if you go back at this time. Don't you have a car? Charlotte said, I won't send you back. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Okay, I'll listen to you. Which room do I stay in? Of course you'll stay in the same room with me. My Hattori said, and Hattori Masao coughed dryly. I'll go back to my room to rest. Good night. Good night, father. My Hattori bowed slightly to Hattori Masao. Uncle, good night. Charlotte also got up to send him off. This was also a form of etiquette. Hattori Masao walked 2 steps and suddenly turned back. You too. Pay attention to safety measures. Before you get married, I don't want to have a grandson. Father, my Hattori looked very embarrassed. Charlotte said to himself, Isn't it good to have a grandson? My Hattori's mouth showed a trace of disgust. This trace of sneer flashed, and then she intimately held Charlotte's hand. Let's go. We should also go back to our room to rest. Wait, I have to take these things with me. Charlotte took out his hand to carry the big bundle of blueprints and documents. You've never been willing to trust people? My Hattori said angrily. What's the difference between taking these things to my room and leaving them here? Don't worry, you leave them here. Come back tomorrow morning to pick them up. Not a single one will be missing. Okay, I'm a man who loves women. I'll listen to you. Charlotte put down the big bundle of blueprints and documents, but he took the Toshiba SSD off and put it in the outer pocket of his suit. It's okay for me to take this with me, right? It's in my pocket. It doesn't take up a space in your room. Charlotte said. My Hattori was too lazy to talk to Charlotte. She turned and walked to the door. Wait for me, baby. Don't be angry. Charlotte chased after her. Ono and the other 2 looked at each other. Obviously, they didn't understand the situation. They obviously knew my Hattori's identity. How did she suddenly get together with a China kid? But a few minutes after Charlotte left the study, Hattori Masao returned. He put all the blueprints and documents in the safe. President, he took the SSD, Ono said. He'll return it to me soon. He can't take it. You don't need to worry about this. Just do your job. Hattori Masao said. President, I only dare to say it after that China kid leaves. What do you want to say? Ono said, the technology in this USB is beyond my imagination. Whether it's the Thunder Horse AI machine tool or the 3 weapons, they're at least 30 years ahead of the current world. I can't imagine how the brain of the person who designed them was constructed. Hattori Masao suddenly thought of Charlotte's Plan X. His eyes flashed with excitement and greed. Ono continued, the things in the USB should be taken back to our country as soon as possible. It can allow our military industry to occupy the top of the world. President, I think we should go back immediately and build. Hattori Masao's face was cold as he interrupted Ono's words. Bastard, do I need you to teach me what to do? I said, just do your job. Now, I'll get the hell back to the hotel. The 3 engineers bowed to Hattori Masao in unison and then quickly left the study with their heads down. Hattori Masao said, even if Japan's military industry wants to occupy the top of the world, the person holding the flag can only be me, Hattori Masao. He looked at his watch and then sat on the sofa. He put a wireless earphone in his ear and quietly waited for something. About 2 minutes later, a woman's voice suddenly came through the wireless earphone. It was a very strange voice. It sounded like the woman was in great pain and wanted to end her life by committing suicide. But it felt like she was very happy. She was so happy that she was delirious and talking nonsense. Hattori Masao's brows suddenly wrinkled. He knew what the voice was, and he also knew the woman who made the strange voice. That woman was his daughter. Creak, creak, the sound of the mattress vibrating came again. It was very rhythmic. Up and down, up and down, up and down. There seemed to be a crazy, crazy horse on the mattress in his daughter's room. It treated the mattress as grass and stepped forward with its strong and powerful hooves. It wanted to step on the grass and dissolve the mud on the grass and turn it into a quagmire. These sounds stimulated him as a father. Anger burned quietly in his body. He clenched his fist and his knuckles crackled. Blue veins appeared on his forehead and crisscrossed. The pattern looked like the straw hat on the head of the pirate King Luffy, but it was turquoise. How much longer do you want? His daughter begged. I don't know. Maybe it's because I ate beef for dinner. You? Hearing this, Hattori Masao suddenly stood up and rushed to the statue of Hanzo Hattori. He pulled out the samurai sword and rushed to the door of the study. But he still stopped at the door. Although what was happening made him very uncomfortable, he knew the importance of enduring. Getting the technology from Charlotte will bring great opportunities to the Hattori family. If he can get the more valuable Plan X, the future of the Hattori family will be immeasurable. Thinking of Plan X, Hattori Masao completely calmed down. The messy voice in the earphone seemed to become the whisper of the wind. It no longer brought him anger, but peace. He returned to the sofa and continued to wait. This wait lasted for half an hour. His daughter's room finally quieted down. He looked at his watch and stood up. But at this moment, his daughter's voice came from the earphone again. You guy, don't you want me to rest? You have been resting. Are you working hard? Go away. I want to go to the bathroom. I'll go with you. Ah! Hattori Hanzo slammed the samurai sword in his hand into the carpet. The sharp tip of the sword penetrated the carpet and into the pine floor. My poor daughter. Does she look like a carpet or a pine floor? This question made him want to go crazy. Chapter 733. Everything quietened down. Charlotte was lying on the bed, exhausted. There was a smile on his face, and he looked very satisfied, comfortable, and enjoying himself. He seemed to be reminiscing about something beautiful, and also seemed to be admiring the crystal chandelier on the ceiling. My Hattori glanced at Charlotte from the corner of her eye, and then struggled to get up from the bed. She was really exhausted and lacked strength. Charlotte turned to look at my Hattori. What are you going to do? My Hattori glared at him and said unhappily, What? Can't I go to the bathroom? Do I need to report to you? Charlotte smiled. What are you talking about? Go, come back quickly. I prepared a gift for you. I'll give it to you when you come back. What gift did you prepare for me? My Hattori got out of bed. She was naked, but she didn't care about Charlotte's greedy gaze. Perfume. The best perfume in France. The kind that money can't buy. What kind of perfume can be bought? Aren't you exaggerating a little too much? I'm very knowledgeable about Parisian perfume, and I've used it no matter how expensive it is. Tell me, what's the brand of perfume you're talking about? My Hattori asked as she walked toward the bathroom door in her slippers. Forget it. I wanted to give you a surprise, but you don't believe me at all. I'll take it out for you to see. Charlotte took his suit jacket from the bedside table, and then took out 2 bottles of perfume from his inner pocket. My Hattori didn't even turn her head. Darling, don't you want to see? Charlotte touched the glass bottle. Marie's Desire, the best and most mysterious perfume in the world. My Hattori finally turned to look at Charlotte. Even if it's the best perfume, you have to wait until I solve the problem. All right, I'll open it first. When you come out, you'll be able to smell its fragrance. Charlotte pulled out the cork, and the room was suddenly filled with a rich fragrance. Boring. My Hattori entered the bathroom. She was not interested in Charlotte's perfume at all. After entering the bathroom, my Hattori did not go to the toilet. Instead, she walked to the sink and turned on the faucet. Strangely enough, the sound of water flowing from the faucet was very similar to the sound of a woman peeing. Charlotte's voice came from outside the door. Darling, did you drink too much water? In the bathroom, my Hattori looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were terrifyingly cold. Then she twitched her nose, and the strange perfume smell actually drifted into the bathroom. How much longer do you want to wait? Charlotte's voice came. Why don't I come in too? Let's do it together. Go to hell. My Hattori suddenly grabbed the faucet and jerked it up. A light click sound came from a wall under the sink. Clang. Suddenly, a loud sound came from outside. The sound was like a bundle of steel falling to the ground. My Hattori opened the bathroom door and rushed out. The loud sound came from a large iron cage. It fell from the ceiling and covered the bed. The steel bars of the large iron cage were as thick as a child's arm. Not to mention a person, even a rhinoceros would not be able to escape. But there was no one on the bed. When my Hattori rushed out of the bathroom, there was an excited smile on her face. But the smile disappeared after a second. Are you going to play with props? But you didn't have to make such a big iron cage. You scared me. Charlotte's voice came from behind her, and it was very soft. My Hattori suddenly turned around, and then she saw Charlotte. When she left the bed, there was not even a thread on Charlotte's body. But now, Charlotte had an extra pair of red briefs on him, and he was dressed like a swimmer. He had a smile on his face, a very bright and charming smile. He held 2 bottles of perfume in his hands, but they were empty. He had already sprayed the perfume on every corner of the room. My Hattori's mouth opened wide. You! Charlotte suddenly reached out and covered her mouth. Then he shouted, Bastard! What are you doing? Don't hurt her! Let go of her, or I'll kill you. My Hattori suddenly realized something. She struggled with all her might, trying to get rid of Charlotte's hand that was covering her mouth. But her strength was negligible in front of Charlotte. And to make matters worse, in the absence of oxygen, her brain was getting dizzier and dizzier. 2 seconds later, Charlotte released his hand. My Hattori fell weakly on the soft carpet. The carpet was black, and she was white. The strong color difference created a strong sense of beauty. Charlotte quickly rushed to the iron cage, and then fell on the ground near the iron cage. As soon as he fell, the door was kicked open. Hattori Masao rushed in. He was holding a Japanese-made M57A pistol in one hand and an extremely sharp samurai sword in the other. Immediately after Hattori Masao, a large group of armed guards also rushed in. The scene in the room stunned everyone. 3 minutes ago, in the study. What's wrong? I can't even go to the bathroom? Do I need to report to you? His daughter's voice came through the earphone. Hattori Masao let out a long sigh of relief. He reached under the coffee table and gently tapped a red button hidden under the coffee table. His daughter went to the bathroom. This was the prearranged signal. Hattori Masao pressed the signal to summon the guards. In less than 10 seconds, 10 guards gathered in front of Hattori Masao. Remember, don't shoot without my order. I want him alive. Move. Hattori Masao strode to his daughter's room. A person trapped in an iron cage was handled so cautiously only because Gu Qian had described the China kid to be too powerful. The number of people killed was in the triple digits, and they were CIB agents, Marine Corps Special Forces, and assassins. Facing such an opponent, Hattori Masao didn't dare to be careless. In fact, his original plan was simple. After his daughter brought Charlotte here to complete the transaction, he would immediately have the guards surround Charlotte and arrest him. But after careful consideration and deduction, he finally gave up on this plan. With Charlotte's skills, if he fought with his life on the line, his daughter's life would be in danger. And even if the guards opened fire in time and killed Charlotte, he wouldn't be able to know the details of Plan X. Another reason that made him give up on this plan was the CIB. The CIB repeatedly emphasized that they wanted to capture him alive. With the relationship between Japan and the U.S., he had to consider the CIB's interests in this operation. Therefore, the second daughter to sleep with him and the plan to capture him in an iron cage came into being. Bang! There was a loud noise that shook the entire floor. Hearing this noise, Hattori Masao's face instantly broke into a smile. The plan worked. The 10 guards split into 2 teams. One team stood on the left side of his daughter's door, and the other stood on the right side. Hattori Masao reached for the door handle. "Bastard! What are you doing? Don't hurt her. Let her go, or I'll kill you." Charlotte's voice suddenly came from inside the room, full of fear. Hattori Masao froze for a moment. Then he kicked the door and rushed inside. There was no third party in the room. His daughter was lying naked on the carpet. Her soft and tender skin made the eyes of the guards beside her stare blankly. Charlotte was also lying on the ground, unconscious. He should have been trapped in the iron cage, but he was lying on the ground next to the iron cage. It gave the impression that he had dodged the iron cage the moment it fell, and then fainted on the ground. Why didn't the iron cage trap Charlotte? Why did his daughter and Charlotte faint on the ground? Who was Charlotte's roar directed at? These questions appeared in Hattori Masao's mind at the same time, but he couldn't understand a single one of them. However, his military discipline wasn't just for show. He quickly calmed down and roared. "What are you looking at? 2 of you go and look outside the window. 2 of you go and bring that kid to the basement. Quick!" The guards immediately carried out Hattori Masao's order. Hattori Masao walked to my Hattori's side, then took off his jacket and put it on her. Thud! One of the guards fell to the ground for no reason. Hattori Masao was about to scold him, but when he opened his mouth, he realized that he couldn't control his tongue. Then his vision went black and he fell to the ground. Thud! Thud! Hattori Masao's guards fell to the ground like dumplings. When the last guard fell to the ground, Charlotte suddenly opened his eyes and got up from the ground. He walked to Hattori Masao's side, reached out his hand, and patted Hattori Masao's face, then laughed out loud. "Little bear, didn't you want to know what Plan X is? This is Plan X. Not only do I want your artificial intelligence technology, but I also want to use you as bait to catch the big fish, Gu Qian." Unfortunately, Hattori Masao couldn't hear Charlotte's voice anymore. Charlotte put his hand into Hattori Masao's suit pocket and took out the thumb drive. "You never intended to give me your artificial intelligence technology from the beginning. I'm sorry, but I had the same idea as you." They had the same idea, but the result was different. He had already obtained the Belly family's artificial intelligence technology, but Hattori Masao had only taken a glance at it and didn't get anything. The Marie's desire in the room was still very strong, but Charlotte was the only one who wasn't affected by it. Not only did he steal Jacqueline Eva's Marie's desire, but he also stole her antidote. At this very moment, Jacqueline Eva was probably looking for him all over Paris, but he couldn't care less about her feelings. A few minutes later, Charlotte put on his clothes, then carried Hattori Masao out of my Hattori's room and returned to the study. There was still an hour and a half left before the 6-hour deadline between Hattori Masao and Gu Qian. An hour and a half was enough time for him to prepare everything. He also knew that Gu Qian couldn't be too far away. She must be nearby. Perhaps she was looking at her watch, anxiously waiting for the last minute to pass. Would the grudge between him and Gu Qian end in an hour and a half? He wasn't sure, but he knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to kill her. Chapter 734. It was very quiet in the study. Xiaolei placed Hattori Masao on the sofa and took Hattori Masao's phone. He quickly found the number Hattori Masao had called after leaving the restaurant during dinner. That call was made after Hattori Masao notified Ono and the others, and the person who answered was Gu Qian. It was also in that call that Hattori Masao insisted that the CIB could only take him away after 6 hours. After finding Gu Qian's number, Charlotte set an automatic reply on his phone and edited the content of the automatic reply in Japanese. I've caught him. You can come and take him away now. Gu Qian would definitely call Hattori Masao before coming, but Hattori Masao couldn't answer her call. He couldn't answer because he couldn't imitate Hattori Masao's voice. With Gu Qian's cautiousness and cunning, even the slightest abnormality would be enough to alert her. The automatic reply was a very good trick. Gu Qian might be suspicious, but she would definitely come here. And he only needed her to show up. After setting up the automatic reply, Charlotte took off his leather shoe on his right foot and dug out the insole. Under the insole was a hidden compartment the size of half a matchbox. Inside the hidden compartment was a set of mini spy equipment. There was a mini receiver that could be hidden in the ear and a mini communicator disguised as a brooch. He stuffed the mini earpiece into his ear and then pinned the communicator disguised as a brooch to the collar of his suit. Finally, he activated the spy equipment. I'm done here, Charlotte said to the brooch. We're in position. Amanda's voice came from the mini receiver in his ear. As soon as Gu Qian shows up, immediately kill her and retreat, Charlotte said. Kill Gu Qian, but the CIB will still continue to target you. If we retreat, you'll face them alone. Are you sure you want us to retreat at that time? Someone will take care of the aftermath. You only need to be responsible for giving Gu Qian a bullet, Charlotte said. Okay. Charlotte looked at his watch. Now, check the time. 23. 1. 23. 1. It was Amanda's voice. The time is correct. Gu Qian will appear at 0:20. You have to retreat from this area at 0:23. Don't leave any traces when you retreat. Roger that. That's all. Charlotte ended the call. Silence returned to the study. Hattori Masao showed no signs of waking up. He was in a deep sleep. Jacqueline, Eva's Mary's desire wasn't that powerful. It was just that Charlotte had deliberately added some sleeping drugs into the Swift's desire. What he had in mind wasn't the usual Mary's desire, but an enhanced version of it. Charlotte put on his shoes and erased the fingerprint on his phone. A minute later, he left the study and returned to my Hattori's room. Hattori Masao's 10 guards were lying on the ground, sleeping like dead dogs. Charlotte's gaze moved to my Hattori. She was covered with Hattori Masao's jacket, but one jacket was clearly not enough. Her ribs were slightly exposed, and they were flat on the carpet. Her plump, but was half covered. Her skin was as white as snow and as soft as frost. A pair of beautiful legs that took up 2/3 of her body were exposed to the air. In the gap between the jacket and her body, there was always a little seam that was not suitable for children. A bitter smile appeared on Charlotte's face. Although they were rivals, and although they didn't have any feelings for each other, he had to admit that my Hattori had brought him a very happy time. He also had to admit that my Hattori was really good in certain aspects. Turning his gaze away, Charlotte got busy again. He picked up the perfume bottle that had fallen to the ground, and then went into the bathroom to wash the remaining perfume in the bottle with water. Then, he stepped on the bottle, threw the glass into the toilet, and flushed it away. After cleaning the perfume bottle, he left the bathroom and carefully approached the window. Without opening the curtains, he opened the window a crack to let in fresh air. The natural wind from the window and the ventilation fan in the room could speed up the dilution of the perfume. When the air returned to normal, my Hattori and the guards would wake up earlier. By that time, his operation would be over. Looking through the curtains, his gaze swept across a large area. Soon, he saw a white man on a building directly in front of the window, looking in his direction with a night vision device. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. "If you want to catch me, then come." Leaving the window, he returned to my Hattori's side. He carried my Hattori and went in the bathroom. He needed to clean up some traces that he shouldn't have left behind, and there were too many traces that belonged to him on my Hattori's body. Some traces were more troublesome to clean up and even made him feel a little disgusted. But he had to bite the bullet and clean them up. 10 minutes later, Charlotte carried my Hattori out of the bathroom, dressed her, and then put her on the carpet. My Hattori showed no signs of waking up. No matter what Charlotte did to her, she was like a puppet at his mercy. Charlotte glanced at her, then left her room and returned to the study. He had done all the work that needed to be done, and now he was just waiting for Gu Qiuan's call. Time passed little by little, giving people a very slow feeling. At 10 past midnight, Charlotte picked up the phone on his desk and dialed a number. The phone was connected, and a woman's voice came from the receiver. "Who are you?" This voice was Jacqueline Eva's voice. Charlotte strangled his own neck with his hand. "It's me. Charlotte. Come, save me. The Japanese want to kill me." His voice was full of fear, and it also made it difficult for people to breathe. "Where are you?" Jacqueline Eva suddenly became nervous, and her voice suddenly became much higher. "I am at..." Charlotte didn't continue, but fired 2 shots at the wall with Hattori Misao's pistol. Bang, bang. "Hello? Hello? What happened?" Jacqueline Eva's voice was very anxious. Charlotte hung up the phone with a snap. He knew where this place was, but he wouldn't tell Jacqueline Eva. With the ability of the French National Intelligence, it would take her less than a minute to find the address of this phone call. He didn't do anything unnecessary at all. After the phone call, he looked at the watch on his hand. Only a minute had passed. It was now 12 minutes past midnight. There were still 9 minutes until the time Gu Qiuan and Hattori Misao had agreed to meet. There were still 12 minutes until the Zodiac squad finished retreating, and 12 to 13 minutes until Jacqueline and Eva arrived with the rest of the squad. A smile appeared on the corner of Charlotte's mouth, and his brain also appeared to have deduced an image. At 20 past midnight, a few Chevrolet Suburban off-road vans stopped by the roadside in front of the villa. Gu Qiuan got out of one of the vehicles, and a large group of CIB agents also prepared to rush into the villa. At that moment, a bullet flew and pierced Gu Qiuan's brain. She fell in a pool of blood. After a minute of panic, the CIB agents rushed into the villa. At 22 or 23, Jacqueline Eva arrived with the agents of the French National Directorate of Security and the French National Gendarmerie. She yelled at the CIB agents to put down their weapons. At 23, Amanda, Bagu, and the others left in a car driven by Pu Taiyong. The car music system played a black rap song. At 24 minutes past 0, Jacqueline Eva rushed into the study and saw Charlotte wiped off the fingerprints on the pistol and returned it to Hattori Misao's hand. At 20 past midnight, when Gu Qiuan was shot and fell, he would hold Hattori Misao's hand and shoot him in the thigh. The gunshots in the house would also delay the actions of the CIB agents because it took time to observe and determine the situation. At that time, Gu Qiuan had just been shot, and they had every reason to believe that there was a sniper hiding in the villa. The delay would also make up for the time difference between Jacqueline Eva and her people. At 24 minutes past 0, Jacqueline Eva saw him lying unconscious on the ground in the study. It was a perfect murder plan. Hattori Misao shot him, and he was the victim. How could a victim who was shot kill Gu Qiuan? The Frenchman was his witness, and the Japanese, in disguise, his witness. As for who killed Gu Qiuan, who the F***ck knew, the scene of deduction in his mind disappeared, but Gu Qiuan's appearance appeared in his mind again. He had been planning to kill her, and the time for her to be shot was getting closer and closer. However, for some reason, his heart felt a little empty. He had 100 reasons to kill Gu Qiuan, and Gu Qiuan had 100 reasons to kill him. The grudges between people were like this. You had your revenge, and she had her hatred. Death wasn't the end, but a new beginning. A minute later, he shook his head gently and chased Gu Qian's appearance out of his mind. Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. The phone on the desk suddenly rang. Charlotte froze for a moment. He reached out, but then retracted his hand. He didn't know who was calling at this time. This call not only disrupted his steps, but it also brought him a sense of unease. Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. The phone continued to ring, as if it would keep ringing if he didn't answer it. After hesitating for a moment, Charlotte picked up the phone, but he didn't speak. He just listened. Inhale, inhale. A very strange sound came from the receiver, giving the feeling that it was like breathing in a grave. Except for this sound, the person who called didn't speak, but the sound that sounded like breathing in a grave continued. After a few seconds, Charlotte couldn't help it anymore. He covered his mouth and asked tentatively, "Who are you?" Hearing Charlotte's voice, the breathing sound immediately disappeared, and then there was a strange woman's voice. "It's dangerous. Get out of there." "Who are you?" "You have 60 seconds." "Who are you?" "You have 57 seconds." Click. A strange sound was suddenly heard. Charlotte's nerves suddenly tightened, and he hung up the phone. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.